in the spirit of starting things, we have two things going on this evening. We have a special council meeting, and we also have a budget workshop. The special council meeting that we had on Thursday that got moved for this evening was asked for full council to be present and vote on for the conversation of potentially terminating the manager. So we have Councilperson Mathis running late, so in spirit of all of you here, we are going to start with the budget workshop. So there's two things that we're working on tonight, and when he arrives, the attorney said I can stop the budget workshop, we can go right into the agenda item of the villa manager.
And just to clarify, Mayor, and for the benefit of the citizens in attendance, there aren't going to be any votes taken on any budget items, it's strictly discussion.
The budget workshop is something that we traditionally always do in July to be able to get prepared as we have to vote on it in September. All right, so good evening. Today is Monday, August 14th. It is 7:19 p.m., and I'd like to call a budget workshop to order, please. At this moment, if I can have a moment of silent meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call?
Roll call, Mayor Cubillos.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Councilperson Mathis is not here. Councilperson Dreyer.
Present.
Councilperson Roman. Also present for the record, David Roseman, Village Manager, Joseph Geller, Village Attorney, Erwin Williams, CFO, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, acting as Chief Sergeant, Hufnagel.
All right, at this time, I get a motion for approval of the agenda, which is the budget workshop agenda. Okay, okay. At this time, an acknowledgement of visitors and special presentations. I just want to recognize all of you for being here this evening, and thank you for coming out for our special council meeting and for our budget workshop. At this time, just to bring you up to speed, as I said, every summer we go through a budget workshop, and what we do is we come together, and our CFO presents us where we are at actually from 2016, 2017, and with what we are projected based on the trim notice for 17 and 18. So he's going to present the numbers to us based on actuals, based by department, and then we go through it and we make recommendations as far as adding, deleting, and then we go to vote on this in the first budget hearing, which is set for, I believe, September 12th during our Admin and Finance Committee meeting. So at this time, Erwin, if you can come up and walk us through the budget. If any of you would like a copy, the clerk can give you a copy of the budget, and I believe, does the entire council have your packet and you have the budget in front of you?
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully, you've all had ample time to look over the individual department budgets,
Yes.
which is why we sent them ahead, so you have a chance to ask any questions, make any recommendations for additions, deletions, or changes. So we'll start by taking a quick look at the revenues. So if you turn to the third page of your packet, which is going to be a detailed line item by line item of the individual revenues, the general fund.
I'm sorry, just a quick note. The documents that I have do not have a page number,
So
yeah,
just
so-
count in 3 pages.
yeah, so we're gonna bear with us.
Yeah.
All right.
I was envisioning us sitting around a round table. I didn't realize we're doing it in this forum, which is why that's...
Yeah, we just ran around the table. Fine.
Okay, so the first item is the ad valorem. With the final number we got from the county was 128, 175, 355. We multiply that by our millage rate, which is 8.3%, and then we're allowed to take 95% of that. So when we multiply that out, our amount for next year is $1,010,000. Now, you notice the amount for last year was higher. That was a combination because I don't think they took it at 95%. I think they took it at 100%. And we had some additional revenues come in from the certificate sales in June, more than we had anticipated, which is why it's a higher number. But that's the number we have to go with, is the $1,010,000 on the ad valorem. All the the other numbers that we came up on the line items on the revenues were based on actual results for this year. So as an example, if you look at franchise fees electricity, you can see that the projected to the end of the year is 75,000, and that's the number that we projected for next year, anticipating the same revenues for next year. And we went down the line that way. Some of the areas which I have cut significantly will be like, if you go down to the bottom on charge for services under hall rentals. Last year we budgeted $15,000. I projected this year we're going to come in at $47.75. So the budget for next year was reduced from $15,000 to $5,000 accordingly. At this point, I don't see any major significant things that are going to change the results for next year. Going down the line, I'm going to go from top to bottom. Again, no major differences. If you have any questions on any line item, you can stop me as we go along on any of the revenue lines.
I want to go to the proceeds from sales of vehicles and miscellaneous. So you have miscellaneous at 10,000.
Yeah, that should be 50,000 because what you have to add in the miscellaneous included the revenues of the special events. So we need to add that. It may be actually a little bit less, but we're going to put 50 in as a number for now.
So is it 10,000, or is that going to go to proceeds from sales of vehicles potentially?
No, the proceeds of vehicle, really next year we should have none because this year, assuming we sell 4 or 5 of the vehicles this year, we're getting the new ones coming in next week. We really shouldn't, we may have,
For the record, Councilperson Mathis texted that you have found emergency clause on its way.
are we going to plan to sell any cars next year? Or are we going to sell them all this year? This year. Okay, so she's planning to be auctioned off all this year. So in reality, that number should be about 35,000 for next year because we never have revenues equal to the expenditures on the special events. The expenditures always exceed what the revenues are going to be.
Okay, so are we going to go to 10,000 on the proceeds?
To
And then
35. We're going to change it from 10 to 35. It's the proceeds on vehicle is 0.
Zero, okay, I thought, okay.
The miscellaneous is going to go
35.
up to 35.
And that's sort of based on what we raised this year for miscellaneous events, like
Yeah,
our
it's-
fair 5K.
Right, versus the expenditures that we had on
To
on the
offset
other
the
side.
expense.
Right, and we may adjust this by the second budget reading.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Building permits I reduced from 150 to 125 only because it looks like that's where it's going to come in this year. Even if it is, it's really hard to project what it's going to be next year's, but to be conservative, I'm going to estimate the same as what we're going to end up this year with. I'd rather project revenues lower than too high, then we think we have more money to spend than we do, and that's not a good thing. So we're trying to be as conservative as possible. Any other questions on any other line item on the revenues? Yes, sir.
Going to the section license and permits, there's a subsection mobile home licenses.
That's from the state.
Projected revenues.
That's from the state.
That's a mistake.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a very small amount. It's normally about, it's $70, $100 a year. It's a very small amount. We get it from the state every year.
It's not a mistake, it's from the state.
It's from the state.
It's from the state, okay? Okay.
Oh,
I think we understood it's a mistake, it's from the state.
must be the accent. Okay. Any other questions on the revenues? If not, let's go into the department budgets. Now, I know we'll be coming back to this one. I may as well bring it up because I know he's going to bring it up, so I may as well bring it up now. Harold wanted the stipend raised from $3,000 per council person to $6,000. Okay, and that's something you as a council decide if you want to do. And he also wanted to see, because you are also eligible for the Florida State Retirement Plan, if you so desire.
Well, I think that before we can even vote on that for the first budget hearing, I think we need to take a look at what those numbers for us would look like for the council, because we have to budget them in, correct?
Yeah, well, if the salaries, call it salary, if the stipend goes up by $15,000, which is going to be now would be $30,000, and the FRS is going to be about 40%. So you're looking at $12,000 in retirement on top of the additional 15, and then 7.5% in addition for the FICA taxes. So if you
So
take
the
that,
total would be 27,000 per?
no, it'll be 15 plus 40 and 30 is another 12 is 27, about a little over $30,000. Because you have to add the 7.5% of the gross salaries for the FICA also. in an impact on the bottom line of $30,000. And then the issue is going to be, if we don't have a surplus, understand that if you do that, it's going to be coming out of the village's fund balance. If there's insufficient revenues to cover all those expenditures.
I don't have on me the year-to-date for the travel, and I know mine was pretty high this past year. And I think you've allocated for the mayor 2,500.
Yeah, you're already at 4,800 this year, and with all the traveling you've been doing, if you're going to be doing the same amount of traveling next year, and the village, and the council, other council are agreeable, then you probably want to raise that number up to 4,800. And you notice that for next year, I put a recommended at 5,500 in total.
Okay, okay.
I
So
raised it.
you raised
I raised
it.
it.
Okay, okay. So that's something for us to think about and digest and think over, and we can recommend that vote on that at the first year.
Because the old one was $2,500 for the mayor and $500 for each council person. But, you know, you've spent, you know, all the traveling you've done, you've already exceeded that. We're not even at the end of the year yet. So in the idea that you're going to do the same amount of traveling next year, you probably want to raise that up.
Yeah, my thought process would be, I mean, we have to capitalize on the fact that, you know, we received money from the state this year, which is attributed, direct reflection of the travel going to Tallahassee. And I would be inclined to think that perhaps my colleagues on the dais are going to probably want to do the same thing, especially if we really did receive the grant. I mean, it's an opportunity to go and ask for more money, so it's going to have to require more travel. So it's something that I'm going to ask the council to think of, and when we're all here, and if we go back to it, it's something that we can possibly vote and recommend for the first hearing. Okay?
Right. Okay, so you can look at that number and determine how much traveling you think you're going to do, and then we can see what that number is going to come out to. Any other question on the council budget? Okay, let's move on to finance and administration. Okay, so I have some things to talk about at the top, but I want to skip down to the middle first to the one area that I know we may want to take a look at is what the lobbyist is going to cost us for next year. If you look at this year, we're going to come in at about $25,000 for this year, and I put as a placeholder 25 for next year. But if we're going to have, if the lobbyist is going to be more involved next year because of these grants that are closing, then we may want to take a look at that number.
Okay. Yeah, I had that circled as well too.
Okay. The other thing is, if you look at the second line, I'm making a recommendation that we add a new position, which is really an old position that we used to have, and that's an assistant to the manager to help take some of the daily duties off his shoulders and the interaction with the residents to give, you know, so that, you know, they get an immediate response, and also backup for me to give me a little better support in the finance department.
But isn't that what Carlene was doing?
Right, and what I did is I moved, because of the increase we're going to have in the building department and with the new commercial area coming up, I recommended that she be moved to the building department to work with Elena in the front, and she can still do the cash receipts with the receipts coming in, but relieve her of all the other finance duties. You got to remember that when Jason was here, we had a manager, we had assistant to the manager, and there were always two people in the front.
Yeah, the assistant to the manager was also the interim clerk.
Beg your pardon?
The assistant to the manager was also the interim to the clerk for a long time. The interim clerk.
For a while, yeah, she was for a while, but she was also just in that capacity without being the interim clerk for about 2 years.
We had an interim clerk from '09 to '15. Bertie Patterson left us in '09, and Montalegre went right into the position, and then Yanis Jacoby was hired in November of '15. So we had an interim clerk from '09 to '15. So, and she was the clerk / assistant to the manager. So
The
it
issue-
probably needs to be better defined because.
And the reason I made this recommendation is twofold. One is to take some pressure off the manager position so that, that more of the day-to-day stuff can be handled by that assistant. And B is in my area, I need more in-depth support.
No, I agree. I just thought that's what Carlene was doing. Because Carlene, we do have an office manager right now. It's not on here, but we do have an office manager. When was she hired?
October?
October of last year. I mean, I know she was hired and title was office manager, and she was under finance and administration.
Right, and I moved that position to building department.
I know, but what I'm saying is, it would have been my assumption that as office manager, she was assistant to the manager, and she would have been doing the day-to-day, all the, that was my question, okay.
In reality, she was really more than assistant to the manager. She was finance and back up in the front in the building department.
Any other questions? I did have a question. IT services for 16,000. Does that include the presentation that we received at the council meeting in July?
No, and I wasn't here for that meeting, Dave, so what was that final number they came up with, do you remember?
I can't remember, but I'll be happy to give it to you.
Yeah, whatever that number is, we'll just change there. I think it's actually a little bit lower.
It's
Madam
less.
Clerk, do you remember what that number was? The 3 packages we got from IT? What's the number? Warner, what's the middle number?
Yeah, there were 3 in there.
So the highest was, there was a 4,000, or 5,000, 4,700. There was 5,800, and then the big one was 12,000. Okay, so the 16,000 is covering what? Thank you.
Well, we have an antiquated server that has to be replaced, and the idea is to go cloud-based instead of doing it in-house. Because that server we have now was dying 4 years ago.
Isn't that the 12,000 quote that we got to go on cloud-based? Yeah, right? Okay, so it's, okay, it's one of them.
So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that 16 down to 12.
Third.
Is there anything else that's
Yeah.
included in there?
Just leave that amount of 16 because
16,
there
yeah.
are some
Oh,
additional.
they're still going to have to, it's true, you know what, they're still going to have to maintain the desktops and the laptops that connect into the server, so we should probably leave a little bit extra for other work that has
And
to
there
be
is
done.
need for additional hardware.
Okay.
They're
For the
more-
record,
Hardware will be on a different line.
Councilperson
Hardware
Mathis
will
just
be on a
walked
different
in.
line.
Okay.
Also, I need all of you to speak into the mic because I was talking to the audio. You have to speak directly into the mic.
And that prompts me to something else, Madam Clerk, and I'm going to go to stop the budget workshop because Councilperson Mathis is here. But one thing that we also have to realize when I go through the budget is, communication has come across the board at almost every meeting that we need to do better. And this meeting is one of the prime ways that we communicate with our residents. And I really think it's an opportunity for us to take a look at our AV system and how these things are working and how that's working and all that. So when we take a look at the budget again, we really need to take a look at the audio because residents tell me that when they're out there, they hear us crackling.
So when we do the clerk's budget, we should probably take a look at that. If we
Okay.
don't have
I'm actually
it,
going to a
we'll
meeting
add
on
it
the
to
21st that has to do with that with all the cities of Miami-Dade County. So we can
Okay.
get live stream and all that stuff, get quotes so we can get this. Because that's a very
So I know you're cutting off the
Yeah.
session now, but we're going to leave it at 16 for now as a placeholder, and we're going to move on from there. Please.
Okay, thank you, Erwin, so much. Okay. At this time, I will go ahead and go back to our special council meeting. We already have, it is now 7:35. Today's Monday, August 14th. We've already had a call to order, silent meditation and pledge of allegiance. Madam Clerk has already did a roll call. Councilperson Mathis has arrived. May I get a motion for approval of the agenda
Motion for approval.
for the special little council meeting agenda? Okay, there's a motion made by Councilperson Roman. Is there a second? Second by Councilperson Mathis. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any nay? Okay, we have minutes to approve from August 5th. We had a special administration and finance committee meeting on a Saturday. We read these minutes last Thursday. We asked the clerk to make some updates at this time as the council had the opportunity to review them.
Yes. I have four comments. So I think some of the items were added. I think these are much better, but I'd like to review at the end. We can go ahead and vote on them, but I'd like to review and perhaps listen to the audio and see if there's anything that I feel that needs to be added from my part. I'm also going to recommend that we upload the audio, if we haven't already, to the website, so that in the spirit of transparency, everything's there.
Attorney Geller, just to confirm, at the last meeting, I think you also made a statement in which, although we can approve it this evening, if somebody wants to go back and perhaps add something at a later date that they can, is that okay? I think that's what Councilwoman is talking about this evening.
Add or propose changes.
Add or propose changes. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect.
correct because I've already had a public request for these minutes.
Okay. And I think our clerk reached out, and we may provide a draft to
Correct.
residents, but we have to make sure that the sheet says draft and not final. Okay. So with that said, any other corrections or additions or changes, or do we have a motion to approve these minutes until, unless further stated?
Just a quick note,
Yes.
during our last meeting, we requested to add like a quick
A
legend.
legend.
And I don't see that right now, so it would be great perhaps.
Councilperson Dre at the Thursday's special council meeting asked for a legend so that everyone understands what a 1 was, what a 2 was, what a 3 was, what a 4 was, what a 5 was. And that needs to be added for the record, 1 is being the lowest and 5 being the highest, and 3 being an average. That is correct. Any other changes? Okay, there's a motion to approve it, but please add the legend by Councilperson Dre's request. And also stated, Councilperson Roman wants these audio uploaded to the website. And
There's a
perhaps,
problem with that though, because I try to have everything uploaded to the website for the audio.
Really?
I have to work it out, yeah. It's the way our website is done.
Yeah, because that was one meeting that wasn't recorded by Comcast. If you go to, the only meetings that are recorded are special council meetings and regular council
Something
meetings.
I'm recommending to change so we can have all of them recorded.
Committees are not requested, are not videotaped, but if you go to the website now, all of our video is on there. Okay, so there's a motion to approve the minutes, adding the legend that Councilperson Dre has requested. Councilperson Roman wants to go on the record saying that she'd like the opportunity to perhaps read them and make a recommendation at a later date. That's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilperson Roman. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Any opposed? Approval of okay, at this time, good and welfare, if anybody would like to come up and say anything on what we have talked about at the moment. You can come up, Dr. Ward.
I just have a question. Is this the time that you want to give for the public?
You can come up in good and welfare, state your name and address. After good and welfare, I'm going to go right into the agenda item, and I'm going to ask if there's a motion. If there's a motion, I'll have the motion heard, and then I'll close up the council for public comments. Okay. Any good and welfare at this time? All right, hearing none. Our first agenda item is consideration of the recommendation of the August 5th Special Administration and Finance Committee that the village manager be terminated and possible actions thereon. At this time from the council, is there a motion for that?
Make a motion to terminate the village manager.
There's been a motion made by Councilperson Mathis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Councilperson Roman. At this time, I will ask the council for discussion, and then I will close the council meeting and open up it for public comments. And I'm going to leave that to you because you were the only one that were missing on Thursday. Because the rest of us are here, and at that time, if we would like to add anything for those residents who were not here on Thursday, we could definitely add. But Vice Mayor Nickerson, you were the one missing on Thursday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Council, Madam Mayor, Village Manager, Attorney, Clerk. I just want to say, first of all, I apologize for being absent on Thursday. I'm actually in the middle of an educational trip. I text the whole council. I believe that was August 8th after the special.
Yeah, he's not allowed to do that.
After the, I texted them to apologize for missing the council meeting. Actually, what I told them, I said, good evening all. I apologize for not being able to make Thursday's meeting. That was the first meeting, not the one last Thursday. And I said, as you know, August is our recess, and I already have a trip out of town planned since months ago. I will be taking 17 autistic high school students on an educational field trip to all of the battlefields of the Civil War, the major battlefields. I said I just wanted to say that I have the utmost respect and confidence that the council and administration will come to a decision on the future through mutual respect. I said I miss you all, and I support every one of you to take care. That's what I said. So the reason why I wasn't here is because we are in the middle of that educational field trip, taking those 17 autistic high school students to all of the major battlefields of the Civil War. Right now, I flew down today. I left them in Pennsylvania. We were at Gettysburg, and I'm joining them after this meeting. And tomorrow we'll be finishing up in Virginia. As you guys know, or may know, when you do take high school students out of town, through Miami-Dade Public Schools, especially out of state, you have to go through a lot of approvals. And so this trip was done back in January. Especially taking special needs students out of town, I had to get approval way in advance. So this was done back in January, and I planned this during August because August is our recess month. In January, I had no idea that the mayor would be terminated in August, so that is the reason why this trip was already planned. That being said, I just wanted to say that I'm here to support the council, to support the administration. I know that sometimes things can be lost in translation. Things can be lost through non-communication. I think communication is a major item that we all have to keep in mind. I think that if we all just, as I sent the text to all of them, if we all just have a mutual respect for one another, I think that that we all can move on and together as a village in a positive way. And I've always believed that. If anybody's ever known me or talked to me, you know my personality. You know how I am. You know I'm all about bringing everybody together at all times. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did read the minutes, and I am caught up. And I'm ready to discuss.
Any other comments from the council? All right, I'm going to close the council, special village council meeting, open up for public comments on this agenda item. If you come up, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor Cobillos and esteemed council members, Mr. Roseman and Mr. Geller. I have had very limited experience with, I'm sorry? I'm sorry, John King, 133 Northwest 88th Street. I've had very little limited experience with Mr. Roseman. However, I wanted to bring to your attention the outcome of that. I spoke to Mr. Roseman about the tree canopy. That's been an ongoing issue for me personally. And I asked him what the village was doing about the tree canopy, particularly the tree in front of my property I thought needed to be trimmed. And his response to me was that the village was allowing the residents to, well, I understood his response to be that the village was allowing the residents to decide whether the trees are trimmed and in front of their properties, and that the residents had that right. And my response to him was, I think that he's incorrect in his understanding of the law, and that it's the village's responsibility to maintain the trees on the public swale. They have to be maintained because they become a hazard, particularly during hurricane season. So we had a somewhat lengthy conversation, and we didn't agree at the end of the conversation. We didn't come to any agreements. And since that time, that was probably 6 to 8 months ago, since that time, I've called at least 3 times and spoken to Ms. Jacoby, left messages, and requested that Mr. Roseman give me a call, and I haven't received any return phone calls. And these 3 occasions occurred probably within 3 to 4 months of each other. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the council. I'm not advocating for or against the termination of Mr. Roseman, but I would hope that if you decide to retain Mr. Roseman, that he understands that he has a commitment to the citizens to at least respond to our increase. Even if he's not able to grant our request, I think a return phone call is the bare minimum that he should do. Thank you.
Mr. King, what was your address again?
133.
Northwest. Any other comments from the public?
That's it?
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone can hear me? Okay, good.
State your name and address for the record, Dr. Ward.
Dr. Anna Lightfoot Ward, 415 Northwest 88th speak, know that we, you, the village council, need all the comments. I thought that a lot more people would speak since they had me crawl out of my shell and come here. Because we need the good, we need the not so good, and we need the less than good comments before deciding or presenting a decision to us, the residents who elected you, and who also interact on a day-to-day basis with the village administration. Thus, and for benefit of unity and fairness, the recommended decision made without prior consideration of the residents in this village is quite premature and should be postponed indefinitely per Robert Rules of Order. And that is the recommendation. Madam Mayor, you are very right in your August 5th comment stating the council doesn't have a unified mission, or better still, a unified vision right now. And I do wish we could have talked, but I wasn't available. To have a unified vision requires an annual open forum where the council hears from the residents on what the village should collectively focus upon. It is the goal-setting event as done in the past and brought unity to the council and allowed the voters to understand and judge the village council and the administration. Councilman Dreher, I commend you on your stated ends toward strategic long-term planning. Councilman Roman, stay open-minded. And remember, we are depending on your strategic forward thinking. Vice Mayor Nickerson, thank you, ma'am, for your social and liberal arts perspective. These also align the purpose of a collectively decided annual vision for the village council. And Councilperson Mathis, you and I have known each other for a long time. For you, issues and concerns are very cut and dry. So for you to agonize a decision speaks against your better consciousness. You know that, and I know that. Finally, please know that the current village manager is not the chief executive officer. This is not a business. This is a municipal government. But rather, he is the chief administrative officer. Isn't that right, Joe? He is a 20-plus year city administrator. And like our mayor, yes ma'am, like our mayor, who is known in the professional ranks of the Miami-Dade municipal leagues, mayors, and the Florida mayors, I can't hear enough about you because they know me, and I'm happy you're there. Mr. Roseman, like our mayor, is also well known in the International City and County Managers Association. Yes, he is. His reputation is not as a middle manager. It is not. He is a seasoned city manager who is quite aware of the city manager's code of ethics, the one I've kept all of my life because I ran that course also. Especially tenet number 10, which requires him to resist any encroachment on his professional responsibilities. And he had to take that oath, just like you had to take an oath. Just like I had to take the same oath the president takes. We all took that oath. The president of these United States, that's the same oath, isn't it, Joe? He took that oath a long time ago. Pardon me, I get a little emotional when I think about my past, which requires him to resist encroachment on his professional responsibilities. Policymakers, that's what you all are. Do not dictate how the municipal manager gets things done. But sir, you are right. He should be answering our phone calls. Thus, and as the council and the manager have gotten to know each other, it is not conceivable, it is unconscionable, not with reason, to dismiss any employee who scores within the Universal Standard Performance Rating Scale of Level 3. And I have copies for each one of you, which means meets expectations. You know that, don't you? But rather work collectively toward respecting, as Vice Mayor Nicholson said, respecting each other's professionalism. No, I have not spoken to any of you. I wrote this based on what I could read in the minutes. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for wanting them to be recorded so I could hear, because my site's going. In closing, and on behalf of the several residents, and you know I'm real respected, you also know I'm a sleeping lion. So this one had to hit me in my heart, because we're a little village. And when we start switching up our managers, especially when it's out there that even Jason didn't even get to say goodbye to us. And we know the last 8 years that man did a lot for us, making this village what it is today. On behalf of the several residents that asked my presence this evening, I am not asking, I am respectfully asking that number one, the village council postpone indefinitely the item on the agenda, simply because that man had to agonize on his decision. And I've known him a long time. We've been through a lot. Two, that a goal-setting event be scheduled, Irvin, as you know, scheduled shortly after the budget is approved, because that's the only way you're going to know what we're thinking. And we will then know how much money we got. And three, that Councilman Dreher and Vice Mayor Nicholson's respect for professionalism as policymakers become the example in how not to encroach upon the professionalism given to this current village's administrator. Do this with the utmost respect for each one of you, and I thank you for the opportunity to address you at this time.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Wendy Francois, 25 Northwest 86th Street. I spoke at the last meeting, but just wanted to reiterate and state again on the record that I have had great experiences with David, and I would urge the council to reconsider, or as one of our neighbors stated last meeting, maybe use the results of the evaluation as a point of discussion for moving forward in terms of setting expectations with the village manager. And then also I had a question. It was mentioned at the last meeting that the evaluation was supposed to have been issued 6 months, within 6 months of David's starting, but it wasn't reviewed or issued until 14 months after. If you could elaborate on the evaluation process, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Any other comments? I'm going to close.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Durelian, resident in 8700 Northeast 4th Avenue. I've overheard everyone and respect everyone's comments and decision making and everything, and I'll keep it short. I'll give him a chance. He heard everything, he knows what he needs to do, and I'm sure he'll fix things next time, I hope. And thank you.
Adam Old, 140 Northeast 86th Street. I'd like to thank the council for putting this off until today. I don't know who did or did not have a chance to
going to close the public comments and open it up for the council. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say?
Saturday morning, I had, Saturday afternoon, I had I posted on Nextdoor. It was a session that was what's on your mind. Had a lot of people review it. 3 people showed up. 3 people showed up. You could have talked about anything that was on your mind about this village. 3 people showed up. I'm sorry, 5 people showed up. 2 of them were kids that was with their parents. 5 people showed up. Where were you guys then? You guys asked us to listen to you. We listened to you. I said myself, the other council couldn't be there because it wasn't noticed. But no one showed up. No one sent an email. It was on Nextdoor. It was on email. Nextdoor. No one showed up. There was a lot of things that were discussed there. This topic was one of many. But no one showed up.
Any other comments? Before I ask a vote, I am going to say a few things in response to Dr. Ward. We all receive calls from residents. Not every resident wants to come up to the podium and talk. Not every resident is as eloquent, or not everybody wants to be so vocal. Some people don't like this public forum. But this is government and everything is transparent. And while a review might have to be done in 6 months, the reality, if it was 6 months, I think we saved him just not doing it because just like he did not evaluate certain members in his department because it was too soon to evaluate 6 months in the job, we opted not to do it and make him more informed one by being able to give him more opportunity in a job. Because he didn't have municipal management really experience. This is his first city manager role. I also want to make that clear based on his resume. The other thing I want to add is that in government, we meet every month. And in government, I make an effort to meet with the manager every week because we do not run the day-to-day. We are policymakers and we have to enforce the policy. And who actually makes it come to life is our administration. So when we come to a council meeting every single month and a committee meeting, 6 of them every other month, that is like his evaluation every month. Because if you all would come regularly, because many of you are here and I think it's fantastic, but I honestly have not seen many of you. I think the only resident I see here regularly is Ms. Brooks. Other than that, maybe Adam Old. With all due respect, I don't see any of you. So I say that to say that when we meet on the 4th Tuesday every single month, the same questions are asked of the manager, of things that are pending, of things that need to get done. So in the reality, that is his like monthly review. And we have done it at every committee meeting, we have done it at every monthly meeting. We just didn't wake up on August 5th as a committee and said, you know what, we're just gonna terminate the manager today. Those decisions don't happen like that. Like in government, these things don't happen. This happened over time. This happened through conversations. This happened through emails. This happened because, you know what, I also got so many phone calls from residents asking me certain questions, and at some point, 2 things happen. The questions are, why doesn't he call? Someone. And the other one is, they need to know an answer for something, but I'm not this chief administrative officer. I am the mayor. I'm not responsible for running the day-to-day. But if there is no regular or consistent communication, it's really hard to answer your question when I run into you walking my dog, biking, or just being out in the small village. So this didn't just happen overnight. You all elect us to be a part of this government, and we do it day in and day out, and we do it practically for free. And I've been, at least for me, I do it because I love what I do. I love this town, and as we prepare to celebrate our 80th anniversary, as I've been preparing to do the State of the Village address, I've been compiling, photos of sort of like the last 10 years I've been up here, and it makes me realize how much, I love this village. So these decisions don't come lightly. These decisions are hard. These decisions are one that comes through conversation. This decision didn't just happen because I woke up and decided this is the right thing. No, this is me hearing each and every single one of us at committee meeting, at council meeting, hearing the CFO, lack of communication in the department, and you have to realize, are we setting someone up for success? Maybe it's just not right for this position. Maybe it was a great interim position. But at some point, there has to be a level of trust when you all elect us. There has to be a level of trust because we are up here. And Dr. Ward, you've been up here more than we have. You know that when you're sitting up here, perhaps you're privy to more. Perhaps you see more. Perhaps you're aware of more. And you know these decisions are hard. But I think if collectively, if we've come together and it's a majority that feels in the direction that that's what's best for the village, my God, I would hope that it's respected. Because now if every single one of you would be here regularly, maybe perhaps it'd be a different dialogue. Why? Because you would see what we see. You would see that when we're up here 11 months out of the year at a council meeting, and lately they've been really long council meetings. Do you want to know why they're so long? Because we're not getting what we're supposed to be getting. And we're trying to be polite, we're trying to be nice, we try to work as a team, we try to say, okay, no, we understand. But when I'm at an event where there are 600 people, and I don't mean no disrespect to the manager, but I have to say this because Dr. Ward, you gave an eloquent speech. And I need these residents to know what we go through when we're out in the public and people see us. When I have someone that walks the entire room just to chase me down, and I'm pretty small, so that person spotted me, and I had heels, and even with heels, I'm probably 5'5". This person spotted me, and it's a developer in this town who needs information, who needs answers. And you know what he asked me? And I'm with 5 other mayors. Why hasn't your manager called me? I don't have that answer. I know we are all busy. And we didn't do the review the first 6 months because out of respect, we understood there was so much going on. We understood that, we were trying to help, and Denise was interviewing for insurance companies. They were working on trim, and they were working, all of that stuff. There was so much going on when he got hired in May of last year. There was, so hey, you know what, out of respect, it's the holidays. 6 months was going to be the holidays. I think he got hired in May, so 6 months would have been December. So hey, not a good time. Let's let his feet get a little more wet. It's new, but let's be considerate. Let's just keep going to the meetings and keep emailing him. He can ask questions. But we're at the point where we had to say, okay, you know what? Sometimes when you have a manager for 10 years like Jason Walker, and we did have a farewell luncheon. Sorry if you didn't know about it, but we did have a farewell luncheon for Jason. If perhaps David Roseman was that great guy to come in for that 1 year and help us sort of get through what we have to get through. But, Councilperson Roman, I think she was the one that said it. I don't remember if it was August 5th. I don't remember if it was last Thursday. Because to be really honest with you, this meeting has been intended to happen since July 15th. July 15th had to get canceled. Then we had to move it to another date. Then we had to move another date. And now we're here today. And we're in budget season. We need to meet for budget. We have things that we must move forward as a council that you elect us to do, and we have to do it right now. But this has sort of been in the middle, and we've been putting it off because there's not enough residents here, because you guys didn't publicize it enough, because you guys are not transparent enough, because you guys don't know what you're doing, because you guys, we've been hearing that, and we've respected every single thing, and we want to be reasonable. Okay, we didn't do it Thursday. Vice Mayor Nickerson wasn't here. We didn't have a word termination on the agenda, so we moved it for a whole weekend. Councilperson Matta posted that he would have a town hall. We couldn't attend because it was a town hall with one member, but 3 members attended. But you all have the opportunity. You have the opportunity to be here on the 4th Tuesday of every month. And I encourage you to be here on the 4th Tuesday of every month. And I encourage you that every other month we have committee meetings. We have 6 of them. 6 committee meetings where all the meats and potatoes are truly discussed. And then that has come to council meeting. So we really do give you an opportunity to be a part of the process. And one of the things that I've thrived, or I feel has been most important, is really getting all of you involved. That has been my mission since I'm up here. That's why there's the Albertown Women's Club. That's why there's a task force. That's why there's so many community events. Because I believe those community events are the opportunity for all of you to come out, network, and find out what's going on. This is a small town. And when I hear that we don't communicate enough, I'm going to reiterate, on the 4th Tuesday of every month, with the exception of August, we are here. We are all sitting right here at 7 o'clock, going over the same thing over all the issues of what's pending, of what's going on. Are we getting sued? Where are we at with impact analysis? Where are we at with the grant? Where are we at with the tree planting? Where are we at with the maintenance? Where are we at with everything? We are here on the fourth Tuesday of every month. And gosh, I encourage you, whatever happens today, I believe is the goodwill of this council. I believe it was well thought out, and as hard as it is, decisions have to be made. And one of the toughest things as an elected leader is to make these hard decisions. But God, I really hope that each and every single one of you know that it's not personal, that it's business, and we're doing it for the village. None of us, I think, and they can opine afterwards, feel great about this. I've owned the business for 10 years. I don't like terminating anybody, much less in a public forum. And if you think all for 1 minute that we're enjoying this and that we're getting pleasure out of this, no, it's hard. It's really hard. But you all elect us to do a really hard job, and we're trying here to really do it, and we're doing it for all of you. And while Wendy and all of you, delivered really nice comments about David, I agree with you. He's a nice guy. I've had coffee with him. I have friends in common with him. This is not personal. But guess what, Wendy? When you're up there talking to us, we don't make a decision on one resident. We have to make it for the greater good. And that's what's so hard about our role. Because if it was a personal decision, hey, David's great to me, I have 4 trees in my house, and they're nice to me. But that's not why I'm elected. I'm elected to make those hard calls. I'm elected to listen to what my colleagues have to say and say, I understand. I understand. And there are times here that we don't agree, and there are times that we do agree. But I really want to hone in on 2 things. This is not easy. This is not personal. And we are here on the 4th Tuesday of every single month. And I really hope that after tonight, I see all of you here. Because I haven't before. I've seen you 3 times. Wendy, I've seen at the community events. And Ms. Brooks, with all due respect, I see you here almost every month. And Barbara. If I'm passionate, yeah, I'm very passionate. I'm passionate because I love this village. I've been here for 10 years. I'm probably going to be here for the next 20 or 30 or 40, and I really want great things. And I'm not going to be up here forever, but I sure want to believe that when I'm down there sitting in the audience, I'm going to be just like you guys. But I've been up here, Dr. Ward, and we know the pain up here. You know what it's like when it's up here. It's different. It's different because we are privy. There are expectations, how we work with the administration. There has to be a unified vision. The administration must carry out the will of the council, and you know that, Dr. Ward. And you know that. Does the council have anything else to say?
I think you said
There's a motion.
for us all.
Madam Mayor, I would just like to know one thing. Should the manager get a chance to say something if he wants to? It's up to
You make the motion. We've been through this, whatever you
I
want.
made the motion. I'll give it to the council. I made the motion, but I'll give it to the council.
And just to add one thing for the rest of the council, and I know Council Member Nickerson, you weren't here last time, and I don't know if you got a chance to read the notes. Part of the communication, at least from my side, I've spoken with David, and also thinking about where are we heading, and to the mayor's comment that this has been prolonging, since, July 15th, and try to understand what is David's perspective, where he's at, and thinking about more on a strategic basis, and correct me, and we can let David speak, right? Because we have some of the audience members here that were not present during the last meeting, but I think it's very important to understand where is David's perspective. And based on that summary, and with all due respect, David, we're very thankful for all the, at least from the public works perspective, we've accomplished that $4.8 million, 80% grant. But where you at, that's where it's important. And based on our conversation, you're more next to moving on. And there's where it is. So we got to think about that as well, where we head. And as well, we gotta think, okay, if there's a termination with David, what are we gonna do, right? What's our plan? Have we thought about that too?
Yes.
And that's something perhaps we can discuss right now during our, meeting, and that's what we'll talk about that,
Yes.
what options we have.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's at least what I have from my summary, right? So just wanted to give you that point of view as well.
I
Thank you,
appreciate it,
Councilperson
Councilperson
Dreher.
Dreher.
Anybody else before we vote?
You're asking me if I
And anything else before we vote? We're going to go for a vote.
Well, I just want to thank everyone that has come forward for your support, your friendship. I'm sorry, Mr. King, that I never was able to get back to you. I think that the conversation that we had went totally differently. But that's not even here nor there. The bell has been rung. I think the tone has been set. I'm disappointed that I was not able to meet the expectations that I set for myself, but that is life. And I just want to make sure that that I leave this village with my integrity and my professional reputation intact. Communication has never been an issue for me. I have not always agreed with things, but communicating, or if I have missed calling people back or something of that nature, it has not been because I have not wanted to, or I have been not occupied in other elements of tremendous amount of importance. We have spoken at large in terms of the way that this village, the situation that this village was in when I came in, and the kinds of progress and accomplishment that we have made. There have been things that have been said that clearly do not match with the reality as I know it, as I remember it. We did set some goals and objectives, and all of the goals and objectives that we have set have been worked on. You'll have, for your approval, for your evaluation, human resources, job descriptions, etc., a number of things that were not done, were not in existence. We have a system now that works much better. It matches finances with operation, a number of things. But clearly, the expectations, even though the performance rating did not specify, and what I hear the mayor speaking, that there were things that were deficient for a long time and that I did not deliver, it pains me because if there's one thing that I've always been is very candid. Tell me what you think. If I'm not meeting an objective, then, I understand and I will discuss it. But I feel that that's different from if there's an objective that needs to be met in a particular way. I will give you the reason why I am deciding to proceed in that particular direction. But this is tough. This is difficult. As I've said in the last meeting, this was the worst evaluation that I've ever received. I am kind of spoiled because I've always been at level 4 or 5 in all of my professional evaluations. So maybe it's old age. But again, it was not because the effort was not put forth. Clearly, it's not a good mix, but the effort, the motivation was there, and I wish for the village and for this council nothing but the best. I want to thank Dreher and Nickerson, Councilmember Dreher Nickerson, for your friendship, and the rest of you for your leadership. It's once in a while it's good to have these kinds of unexpected situations to kind of knock us down a little bit and make us a little more humble, that perhaps we are not as good as we think we are. And that would definitely be something for me to take into my heart as I move forward into my next opportunity. But I am here to provide a smooth transition, an amiable one. I hope that we can, I know that staff has been in tremendous amount of anguish. I have been trying to be reassuring to our officers, to the people in the front desk. I have been trying to use my humor as a way to pave this process to whatever is going to happen next. And I'm going to continue to do that for as long as you feel that it's appropriate. If you have a plan, someone that is going to come in transition at this point, that's fine as well. I don't have any hesitation or any feelings one way or another. I mentioned this from the very beginning, and I'm prepared to stand by my word. But again, it's been a pleasure and an honor to have served you. So,
Thank you, David.
thank you.
Madam Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Dreher.
Yes.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
No.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. We have here new business. And before we go to new business, I want to say one thing to David. I want to say thank you. I voted for you a year ago, and I always say that. And I too wish that not only the fact that we have mutual friends, that this would have ended differently. I hope that, I do believe an exit interview is necessary because we all can learn from this process. None of us up here are perfect. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for hopefully offering in the transition. We're going to need that. And thank you. New business, a follow-up on, based on H1, which is we just voted. Councilperson Dre, we couldn't have that conversation unless it was truly official, because it was not official yet as far as what we were going to do. So with that said, clearly, this puts us in a predicament by charter. We must always have a manager, interim or not. I know that the clerk sent us a couple of resumes of candidates that were interested on an interim basis. These candidates came from candidates that were as part of the process when we were hiring a manager a year ago. The word got out pretty quickly of what we were potentially going through. So a couple of the candidates that were the last candidates from the last process are available to start, I believe, immediately. And with that said, I believe the clerk sent us those resumes. So with that said, I opened it up to the council. It's at the council's pleasure as far as what the next step is.
Yes.
And then the last thing I want to add, when Jason Walker left, when he moved on, at that time, Councilperson Isaacs was the chair of Admin and Finance, and we asked her to do the process as far as ensuring that the payout goes out the way it's supposed to. And so as chair of Admin and Finance, I asked the council if you all would agree with me that Councilperson Mathis is chair of Admin and Finance, work with Joe Geller in that process, with whatever needs to be done per the agreement of the manager. Please take care of it and ensure, and then get back to us at the September council meeting as far, how that was handled. And then whatever inter manager is put in place, that that contract, or however that looks like, is handled by the Chair of Admin and Finance, and then brought back to us. And then on the other, I think there's a twofold, getting an interim manager in, and then thereafter is the ad and everything we have to do, so it's sort of a whole process. But I think number one is ensuring that we take care of David by contract, we do it the right way. And the second thing is if there's any conversation about any potential interest of interim manager based on the resumes we have received.
With regards to that, the resumes that we did receive were from the last 4 finalists. And 2 of those finalists, both were available for immediate hire. One I do see is here. The other one said that she was going to try to make it, but in speaking with her, she decided that she's going to stay where she's at. So with that being said, we only have 1 candidate out of the 2 that we had from the resumes that is here and is ready to take the job, and I leave it up to the council.
Is there a name?
Christia E. Alu.
Would you please come up and approach the podium? Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. That's good, yeah. Oh, state your name and address for the record. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Remind, what, a little bit about your background. I mean, I know I'm familiar with it. I think Councilperson Mathis and Vice Mayor Nickerson, as your resume came through us a year ago, but Councilperson Dre and Councilperson Roman weren't here and they didn't meet you back then. But they definitely saw your resume, and for the residents, tell us a little bit about who you are and your experience.
Okay.
And that this is for the interim manager.
Yes. My name is Christia Alu. I'm an attorney. I've lived in Miami-Dade County for 11 years. I live in Miami Shores, actually just on the edge of Miami Shores and El Fertal, and very active in this community. I have a little child who is as active as I am in the community, and we participate in all festivals and 5Ks, be it El Fertal, Miami Shores, or Biscayne Park. As I stated, I'm an attorney, but I don't work in the traditional sense of, litigation and what have you, which you may expect. I'm a government employee. I've worked for over 25 years in policy, legislation. My most recent position was with County Commissioner Audrey Edmondson, who was once mayor here in El Fertal. I was her policy director before transitioning into being a stay-at-home mother and then getting more active with boards and advisory groups here in the county. But through those 25 years, I worked in Washington, D.C. for 17 of those years, and I worked on Capitol Hill. I worked for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute as a policy aide, and then worked my way up to a policy director. I worked for the Ohio Civil Rights Commission as the director of public affairs. And I worked for the Office on Latino Affairs as its executive director in the District of Columbia. So I do have the legislative and policy background, but as you know, those positions always entail or include a lot of budget, administrative communications, as well as community outreach. So I do have all of that to share, and I think that there would be assets to the village of El Fertal in this position specifically. I am ready to start and would love the opportunity to work with all of you and to work with your residents.
Thank you, Ms. Alu. Is there any questions from the council?
I have a question. Is it Alu?
Alu.
Alu, Ms. Alu. Pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
I would, what interests you exactly in being interim for us? Like, what's the main reason why you're here?
Because I know that there is a need, and I was interested in the permanent position. Perhaps I will apply for the permanent position when that time comes, but I know that I can be helpful, and I am in a position where I can do it now. So I would love to come in and serve as interim and see how that transition, could be for us both. And maybe it will be a fit that I could be permanent, but if not, I understand that. This is, I have that government background, so I do understand how these things happen, how they work.
Thank you. You had a question?
No.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
Councilperson Dre?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Just want to get an understanding, what's your current, role, what you're doing right now, and obviously kind of get your understanding what's El Portal, and see how what can you bring to the table, right? Specifically because we have all these different committees, right? Which, at least for public works, we've gotten up to this point. It's very important, and there's major projects going on right now, and it's important to keep rolling to the next step with that. I would like to hear that. I'm also co-chair of the code enforcement. I would like to hear as well that, and just give us a little bit of what you're currently doing and what's El Portal to you, and how, especially now we're working with the budget, right? I want to hear what experience you bring along with that, and I think we have right now going some negotiations with the, right? So I want to hear that from you as well, PBA, and see what you can contribute to the village.
Okay. Well, as I stated, I have over 25 years of experience working in government, and I practice law in the capacity as a political advisor, consultant. I do labor and employment contracts, and I work for myself. So that is what I do presently. I'm also on the Adrian Arsh Performing Arts Committee as a board member. I'm on the Miami Shores Elementary School PTA board. I was formerly on the Miami Shores Recreation Board. And I'm mentioning these board memberships because I was also a stay-at-home mother for a little while. And in that capacity, I found it really important to still be active. And so my board participation can be helpful in that I make relationships, and I've maintained relationships on a federal, state, and local level. Again, I worked on Capitol Hill, and those relationships are still intact, but I do understand the process, and this is just like it is in DC, here in this village. I mean, you still have a diverse population with diverse interests, but you want to make it work. And I see El Portal has made so many strides. I mean, you guys are amazing and exceeding a lot of other municipalities in this area. So I think that being this progressive is, I would love to work with you, and I think I would have a lot to add to it. Again, budget, I've done multi-million-dollar budgets with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, the Office on Latino Affairs, again in DC, and I'm also on the Adrian Arsh Performing Arts Center's Finance Committee. So I'm always involved in finance in some capacity. And through my political work, I've always been involved with campaigns and, again, finance chair or finance director or just on the finance team. Again, I do community outreach, and I think that is very important to get messages out there. I know that social media is key. You guys are doing a fantastic job of that as well, and I think I can add to that as well. And in terms of administrative services, you mentioned the PBA and what have you. Again, relationship building. I mean, I've done that my entire career. So I think that that background would greatly benefit each department, hopefully, and also that I'm willing to work with everyone, open to all suggestions, community as well as people who are on staff here and in these departments, so that we can all work together and advance the mission of El Portal.
In your introductory letter, I read through it that you also have construction background, somewhat of a construction background.
Oh, I forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah, I'm also on the Building Better Communities, Government Obligation Bond Board here in the county. Again, from my work with Audrey Evanson's office, I was her liaison for planning and zoning, and once I resigned from her office, I I remained very in touch with what's happening in terms of development, and worked. I was on the Industrial Development Board for the county, and like I said, now I'm on the Government Obligation Bond Advisory Committee as well. So
There were some courses that you had to take for that, or?
no, I don't think there were no courses specifically for that. But
You can read plans?
I'm sorry.
Can you
Yeah, I
read
can read plans. The reason I can read plans is because my ex-husband is a contractor.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, I do understand those things and have worked with him on a number of occasions.
Thank you, and I appreciate that you were available.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Nickerson?
Any? Okay.
Thank you.
I have a couple. One of the things, and I think Councilperson Dre touched on it right now, we are in budget, and aside from the budget, tell me a little bit about your experience with contract, right? One of the things that we're approaching is the PBA contract. One of the things that we're approaching is budget. One of the things that we're approaching is heading to lobbying season. So all these things are sort of prevalent right now that will be happening. The other reality is we're also heading into fall, right? So what happens in fall? I mean, we just got out of summer and now we're going into fall, so a lot of people go away, but we still have things that have got to get done and they have deadlines. So I'd like to hear a little bit about how you work with deadlines, what your experience is with contract negotiations and reading contracts and getting a better understanding of the contracts, as I mentioned just now with the PBA and so on and so forth.
Okay. My labor background, when I did practice law, it was labor and employment. I worked in a large law firm in Washington, D.C. So I learned about contract negotiation through those during that time. But again, as director and executive director of different agencies and being involved in even the boards that I'm involved with, I do understand contract negotiation. And my legal background, clearly is, aligned with that as well. I'm sure my labor background can be very helpful with this, PBA and other contracts that may be coming up. And negotiation, I mean, we all negotiate in every aspect of life, but for employment, vending, what have you, the necessities for the village, I have no doubt that I can be very effective and helpful because of that legal background and because of my employment and labor background.
You mentioned that you were on the board on the county. Is that going to be a conflict if you are here on an interim basis?
I'm not sure, but I will check on that, and if it is, it would not be a problem. I can resign a position because I have a lot of other board memberships, so I'm fine with that.
I would think that there might be, so.
Is that's not a paid position, is it?
No, these are not paid positions. Volunteer.
Any other questions for Christia? I want to thank you. This is clearly, as I stated before, sort of a hiccup in the road for us, but I do believe that with the guidance of the council and definitely with David Roseman, that the transition can be smooth. I mean, we somehow we handled the transition with the manager who was here for 10 years, and so that was an interesting transition a year ago. So I have faith that this one, whatever route the council choose, I think the most important is having a clear, direct agreement from the beginning, and that's where it'll be hard for the five of us to do that, but I really ask the attorney and the chair of admin and finance, whatever decision we make this evening, to ensure that there is a contract in place identifying sort of the duties and responsibilities that we're going to expect of you, if it's going to be you, whoever it's going to be, and what time frame that's going to look like. And then I would behoove the next. We're going to be meeting several times in September for first and second hearing, and we have committees, and we're here on the fourth Tuesday, so then we can identify, the later, what the route's going to be. So at this time, I'd like to know if the council has any more questions. If not, You have a comment?
Just a
go ahead.
small comment.
Good, this is
Yeah,
your time.
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, for the council, for the administration and finance committee, I just want to be fair to us and to be fair to her if she's hired tonight on an interim basis, so that we need to make sure that the interim status is a defined time period. That's all. I just wanted to just make sure of that, because you never know. Sometimes in businesses that can go on for a long time. Somebody can be interim for a long time. So just want to make sure we work through that.
Well, one of the things, and that's
for clarity purposes.
oh, 100%. But one of the things we have to be is realistic, because a year ago when we had an interim, we were deprived of time, and as a result, we were doing this. So we experienced, those the three of us out of the five that were here, experienced what it was like to hire an interim that only had 30 days. So while we need to define what that interim basis is going to look like, through a contract, and this is why I've asked the chair to work with it with Joe Geller, we also have to have a clause where if anything happens, we have that, because we don't want to be in the predicament again that we were a year ago, where we had an interim, but he had to get out of here in 35 days, and then the person that we originally chose was gone, and it's just this. And I really do think that we need to do a search. I think it needs to be properly executed. I think it needs to be a conversation where we identify what the ad's going to look like. There's going to be an interview process. I mean, we went through all the channels. We had a board that we selected a board back then. We didn't select the initial candidates. Each of us picked a resident. There was a resident board. They went through all of the applicants, and then they identified their tops, and then we came to us. So, we definitely, this is a transparent process. It's not something that we completely control the whole way. We opted for that. So we just have to be realistic. But yes, it's got to be properly defined so that there's no confusion but at the same time, we don't want to be tied to, okay, she's got to be, done by September 30th, because then we're doing this, and not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, by no means was I suggesting that we give her a small period of time or that we rush her or try to, but I just wanted to, just for everybody's clarity, for everybody's sake, it could be a halfway or a long kind of period of time, but just so that it's clear, and I was in no way suggesting that we give her a small period of time or we rush her through this thing at all.
Something to think about, and I think I mentioned it maybe a few minutes ago, is we are in the middle of August. School starts next week, and then we're in the middle of budget. 3 months is the end of November. November is a short month. December is a short month. I think and most people are interviewing during the holidays or because they want to start a new job in the new year. So maybe it's realistic to say that this is something that we keep until the end of the year, and the person starts in 2018. So that's maybe, that's at I think that's 4 months. I think that's a little realistic for all of us, especially if we're going to if we're going to put a steering committee together to so on and so. So I think that it's a realistic time frame, so it's like 4 months. And it'll take us through the end of the year.
And I'd like to keep that open because we may be blessed with finding someone immediately or, so it's
open-ended.
It's open-ended, I would say.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Any other questions you may have?
I don't have any questions at this moment.
All right, well, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you all. It was a pleasure.
At this time, do we have any other questions? If not, is there a motion?
I would motion. I'll make a motion to.
Can you please state your motion to the, so I can...
We are going to make a motion. I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to open up to the public comment.
Can you please state your motion?
Yes, I motion to consider Ms. Alou as our interim manager.
There is a motion to consider Ms. Cristia Alou made by Councilperson Roman. Is there a second?
I second.
It's by second by Councilperson Mathis. Before I open up for discussion, but I believe we have, I'm going to open it up to public comments. So at this time, the special council meeting is closed, and I'd open up to comments on this motion.
Barbara Fixer, 220 Northeast 85th Street. I was really impressed by the heartfelt speech, and I do understand that these decisions are difficult, and I do really appreciate Mr. Roseman, particularly what he did in regard to the sewer system. But why I actually came up here is because I'm puzzled because, first of all, the other person, I had nothing bad to say of Mrs. Alou. This has nothing to do with her. It just has something to do with the process. Amy Mayhew, how she stated on the resume that was distributed, her name is now LeBron. She is married for a few years already, and the resume is old. And the key didn't come from her. She is interested, but she didn't know that it was sent. The resume actually came through a council person did call her up and ask her a while back, casually, whether she may be interested.
That's not true.
She didn't know anything about
That's not true.
Thursday. She didn't know that the resume was submitted.
That's not true. I asked her if I could submit the resume that she had filed with us. She said yes. She was here at the meeting.
Because she was here, she didn't know about the meeting. She was here before, because I called her.
No,
Because
she was
I
here.
called her, because I said, oh, Amy, you're interested in being our interim manager. It happens that I know her. And I called her up, and she said, what? Yeah, we have a meeting tonight, and your resume was submitted. And so that's great. So you're gonna come again. I just want to set this record straight. And now I just texted her and asked her if she actually officially withdrew. And her answer was, what? No, I didn't do that.
You know what, actually, can
And
you get
today-
her here?
and today
Can you
she-
get her here?
Today
Because
she-
that's not what happened.
Okay, today she couldn't be here. It's something even more important than what. I just want to set the record straight.
So do I, because basically you're saying that I'm lying.
I
And that's
mean,
one thing that
I'm
I
like
don't.
completely puzzled. At least it should be.
Get her here.
She had surgery today.
Oh,
That's why
oh.
she is not here.
That
She
wasn't
would have
told to
been
me.
here. She had eye surgery today. She had a problem with her vision. She was seriously ill, and now she had eye surgery today. That's the reason why she's not here. So, I mean, I almost feel bad to say all this and ask these questions, but I would like to know how this happened. It doesn't mean that I have anything against Mrs. Alou.
I can tell you how it happened.
How?
I looked at the resumes that were the last 4. I called every one of them. Amy said that she was still with the city of Miami. I asked if she would be interested in an interim basis. I asked her when she could start. She said she could start on Monday. So, with that being said, the only 2 people who were available to start was Miss Alou and Amy LeBron Mayhew. I called Amy. She attended the meeting. Miss Alou, I think, was attending the meeting. I'm not sure.
She wasn't.
Well,
I don't think so.
well, the way that she was here and there. We decided as a council.
Maybe she wasn't.
We decided as a council, based on the recommendation of the residents, to push this back. I called Amy 3 times, letting her know that today we were having a meeting, and if she was still interested. She did not answer. Ms. Alou answered. I told her that we were having the meeting, and if she could be up here. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And Amy did know, she did know that I sent her resume.
But I have a question
But I
about
mean,
Amy.
I have her email, right, text message from
Get
right
her
now.
here.
10
I
minutes
have
ago.
a question
She
about
just had
Amy.
surgery.
I have a
I'm
question.
not saying that Amy is the right person, it's your decision.
No,
I
I know.
just want to set the record
But
straight.
no, I do have a question. Now, is she currently employed still?
She is currently employed.
So she can be unemployed in one day?
Probably not. That's something that I shouldn't ask her, it's not me to ask her. But I'm just up here because.
Because I would find it a little, I mean, again, I don't know, but
She
I
didn't
would
even get
find
the
it a
chance.
little difficult that she would want to be an interim when she's employed with the city of Miami Beach. And the interim, there's no guarantee you're staying on. I'm assuming she's probably going to apply when the position gets posted. I'm under that assumption, but that would be my question. I would be really surprised, right, that she would start immediately? Again, I don't know.
I'm a little lost as to what is the point, Barbara?
The point is that I'm confused.
Right, but you're speaking for someone who's not here.
Right, but I am.
So-
No, Vimari, you are the one who has been standing up here before you were a council person and were like bringing up things all the time. It's just like I was sitting there and listening to that. I don't know. I mean, maybe she just lied to me. I mean, I can show this to you. That I just texted her, did you withdraw from the did you withdraw? And I called her up after I found out that she got the resume. And this is the only thing what I'm reporting. And I know for sure what I'm saying is right, and that I have her text. And so this is the only thing what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that the procedure that we are taking is a correct one, and that the information on record is the right one. I mean, what my point is, that the procedure should be honest and open and transparent. That's my point.
This is an interim
I didn't
position. If
ask.
when the job gets posted, if she's going to apply, I'm assuming she could apply. I mean,
I did not ask for an updated resume from any of them. I used the same resume that was
Okay.
entered. Also, the assessment they did was also a part of it.
I mean, now it's on the record what I knew about this, so thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. And to add to the record, I'm sorry. Go ahead, no.
Wendy Francois, 25 Northwest 86th Street. I think her point was that Councilman Mathis stated on the record that that person had withdrawn, but that person hadn't
say
withdrawn.
withdraw?
But yeah, you said withdraw. Yeah.
Maybe you should be clear with, did she withdraw from the interim position? I mean, maybe that needs to be clarified.
I have 2 points. So it seems like there had been a plan already in place to discuss having an interim or having someone replace David. And as we discussed on Thursday, the agenda needs to be more clear because agenda item I only says follow up based on H1. So if you knew that you were going to be considering candidates, I think that again, the agenda should be clear and it should say that because the residents have the right to know that, and that may be something that they're interested in. If they already knew that they agreed with your decision to move forward with the termination, they may still be interested in hearing from the candidates that you were going to be interviewing or speaking with tonight. So that's just another point in terms of communication and transparency. And then I wasn't here last year. I just had a question that in regards to the candidate that you're considering, it seems like you had considered her last year. I don't know if I got that correct. And if you did consider her, was there any reason why you had chosen David rather than her at that time? If you could clarify. Thank you.
Okay, as far as the agenda goes, and goes back to when we discussed on Thursday, I didn't put terminate on there because I made the motion to terminate him. I can't speak for them, so therefore I didn't put terminate on there. Just as I didn't put anything direct on here because I didn't know where the council was going to go. I was the one that brought forth the motion. I don't know what my four colleagues and how they're going to vote. So therefore, that was to that point. Secondly, there were, I don't remember how many candidates there were, but we did a numbers-based system, and there was 4 top candidates that were left. And Ms. LeBron and Ms. Alou were part of those last 4 that were left from the last process. As far as why Ms. Alou wasn't selected then, I don't know. Why Ms. LeBron was, Ms. Mayu wasn't selected then, I don't know. Just the numbers didn't.
We
I did vote,
also
but
had different people on the council.
Yeah, I'm just.
Okay, we also had, no, that's fine.
It was a numbers system, and that's how Mr. Rosen ended up being.
When Mr. Roseman was selected, he was our second candidate. The first one declined after being chosen. And when Mr. Rosen was made our manager, it was actually my vote, Councilperson Isaacs then, and Councilperson Brunson. So he got 3-2 back then. And he was...
And to the point about the agenda, I understand that it's not final until you come here and you vote and you decide, but your considerations should be clear, given that they were already, you already knew what they were.
I know what my consideration was.
Right, well, you knew when Mayor Cubillo said, okay, now agenda item 1, you knew what that was. That was, oh, well, we have these candidates, I called these people, I pulled these resumes, and so the agenda should reflect that more clearly. I know it won't say everything, but it can be more clearly.
Because we hadn't discussed the first agenda item.
It
We
was-
hadn't
it was
voted on
in-
it.
It was like, for example, when Councilperson Dre made a comment earlier about, what's the way forward, we can't even have the conversation because it could have been really possible that David Roseman would not have been terminated tonight.
I'm sure the village attorney can help phrase, just like he helped rephrase what was tonight, agenda item H. Just for transparency and
forward,
clarity, even if it has multiple bullet points, just so it's clear from the agenda, so that if someone is interested in that particular topic, they can come. We can't always come to every meeting, but certainly if there's a clear agenda and we see something of interest, we can at least come in and speak at the beginning and, give our comments, even if we can't stay for the entire meeting. But when the agenda is not clear, it makes it harder for us to participate in the ways that you're urging us to participate. Thank you.
So I just want to clarify a couple things, Wendy. Councilperson Mathis is the chair.
I'm sorry, excuse me, you have a microphone in front of you? Yep,
This
we're
one
done.
doesn't work very well.
Doesn't work at all?
No. Councilperson Mathis is our chair of Admin and Finance. Perhaps it's why he took the liberty to go ahead and pull the resumes. The other thing that I wanted to we can't go without having a manager, by charter. So that's automatically, if that's what we voted, that's what we have to do, is that we have to automatically have an interim or replacement.
Because let me give you an example. It could have been very possible tonight that David Roseman wasn't terminated. So it would be unfair to say follow-up and base 1 possible interviews. Because follow-up and base H1, let's say if he would not have been terminated, follow-up and based H1 could have been a review, or what's going to be a 6-month plan, or what's going to really happen that could have also been it.
I'm Michael Knowles. My address is 105 Northeast 86th Street. My first short question and request is how do the people in the village get to see these resumes that you speak of?
Records request.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Records request.
Well, I think that's a little bit unwieldy. Is there a reason why they shouldn't be
I have to add something because when our village manager left us after 10 years, and we hired his friend, these questions never came up. So, my thing is, I understand, but this is an interim position that a qualified candidate is potentially available, or, in some experiences, the clerk has been made the interim manager. When termination happens, it's really an unexpected situation, and we're trying to just make do with what we have and make the best decision for the village. But our energy needs to ensure 2 things. Number 1, that there's a solidified, good, solid contract for that interim manager that's well-defined, but more importantly, is focusing our energy on hiring a manager. And that's where I think all of the transparency and that's sort of what we did to get to David Roseman, that's sort of, what transpired. But I'm taking all this into consideration. Hopefully we don't have to use this again. Hopefully we can hire a manager long-term, like we had our former manager for 10 years. I'm going to let the attorney make a comment. But I just wanted to really put that on the record that when we hired an interim manager a year ago, the process was probably quicker than this.
Mr. Knowles, they're public records. You don't have to do any formal, cumbersome procedure. You can simply ask for them. You just did ask for them. I heard you. So you can certainly get copies at the first opportunity that the clerk has to make copies, and the same would be for anybody else here. If 20 people in the room all wanted the copies at this second, and it stopped the clerk from doing her duties of recording the minutes, that would be a bit of a problem. But you've asked for them, they're public records, you're entitled to them at the first possible opportunity.
Okay, and
For the record, I'm sorry, for the record, last time you said that you had signed up and I just asked you to sign up. You don't sign in, and I need to have that in order to add you for the email.
Well, I will sign in, but I'm not going to go up there and
Okay.
whisper in your ear.
Okay,
People might
thank
talk,
you.
But more seriously, when? You told me the process, which I already knew, And you told me the how, which I already knew, but you haven't told me when these are going to be available, which I don't know. Can you help me out there?
I'll ask the clerk what would be the first opportunity, whether that would be, after the meeting, tomorrow morning. I mean, the fact is that we're in the middle of a meeting and she has duties and.
I'm not asking for it now. Did you misconstrue that to be my request?
I did misunderstand.
Oh, no. I'm just trying to get an understanding of when they're available.
By tomorrow morning.
If you said Friday at noon, that's all fine. I just need a, place, time certain.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Whatever time, I don't know what the clerk has in the morning, whenever she gets in, I'm sure she'll make those copies. If it takes a few minutes, it's because something else has to be done, but they're public records. You've asked for them, you're entitled to receive them. I'm sure you'll get them tomorrow morning.
So the second point.
It's not going to be in the morning because I'm part-time and here in the afternoon. I was- just want to make that clarification for the expectations.
Today's Monday?
Just send me an email.
Wednesday's
Send me an
fine.
email.
It doesn't matter.
We're fine. Send me an email.
Okay. So the other observation and request I have, and this is directed toward trying to get some sort of, not repeating the same mistakes over again. It's my observation of facts and my conclusion that the reason we ended up with this present village manager is because a lot of energy was expended, and I've heard some of the council people say that just too much. It was just too much. And this is why I would ask that there be some sort of, one of the first things to do is for the people in the village to get to know who the candidates are. Had I known who the candidates are, even though I would have largely been ignored probably, I would have given you some information beyond what was on the resume of these people. For instance, Ms. Alou, I'd like to know what firm she worked with in D.C. because I know a few muckety-muck lawyers in D.C. and I'd like to speak to them about her. I'd like to know some things about her position with respect to the stadium deal for Mr., what's that soccer kicking ball guy's name? But thank you. David Beckham. I think it's important to know these things as we go forward to select someone for an important position. So this is why I'm patting my hands on this lectern and asking to put in place a process where we're not kept in the dark until the last minute when a decision is made. For instance, I've listened very carefully to you, Madam Mayor, and I'm going to, get out of here. When you said that you could not have information regarding Ms. Alou here because you did not you were going to know what was going to be done with respect to Mr. Roseman, and that makes perfect sense. However, that doesn't stop you from saying you're either going to terminate him or not, and if you don't terminate him, then we're going to look at an interim person. Those are the two alternatives that come out of the session involving Mr. Roseman. So I'm just saying that just because we always did something one way doesn't mean we're bound to continue to do it the same way. I want more information, that's all. Thank you.
And to add, and I don't want to speak for Councilperson Mathis, but the reason I believe he went to the candidates that had been through the whole screening process was because, there's got to be a file of their, they took I don't want to say psych evaluation, an assessment test, the references were done. So what I'm assuming he chose would not just open it up because it's an interim position. Hey, let's just call the last candidates that were available a year ago, and see if any of them are still available because their file had been sort of vetted by a committee of residents, just not selected like there was many others selected. That would be, so I guess a lot of those questions I'm sure are answered, Mr. Knowles, but it's not like we just picked up somebody from left field, and these are people that have applied for the position, understand the position, were interviewed, just were not hired. But we've taken all this into consideration, and clearly, hopefully, we don't have to use these because we don't have to go through this again, but yes. Anyway, any other comments?
Diana Ward, former mayor, 415 Northwest 88th Terrace. You all have worn me out. We have a very important person here. Irvin, you have too much information. And if you're as worn out as I am, I would ask the council, we got some energy going up here. You dismiss this and don't run through this budget like this. Just don't run through the budget like this. If I'm worn out, yeah. You can just dismiss this and let's get some of this energy down. God bless you, I'm going home.
Thank you, Dr. Ward.
For the record, I will stay longer, and anybody who wants copies of her resume, I will get them to you. So by a show of hands, so I know how many copies I need to make. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Krista McLean. I live at 270 Northwest 86th Street. And I just wanted to say that in this process, well, first of all, I want to encourage you guys to take the opportunity with an interim and however you structure this next phase, to do it in a way that is sustainable for the village, that keeps the village moving forward around big projects like the sewer system, right? So I would encourage you not to rush in the next transition. And I would also, and if that's 6 months, great. And if that's longer, great, or not. So to build in flexibility, but not to wind up in a Chinese fire drill over the next transition. And also, I know that you guys work very hard, and the work of the village is hard because it's so small. And I know that the work of the village manager is hard because we are small and idiosyncratic and trying to do a lot with very little. But I do hope that we can make space to learn from this experience and to put in place. So rather than to hope we never do this again, let's assume we are going to have to do this again. And let's actually move towards a structured approach and to document what we've just gone through and to think about some of the steps that have already happened under David. I mean, if we had a village manager that was a 10-year manager, we didn't really have to deal with a lot of transitional stuff. And now we're going through, a pretty turbulent period. So what can we take out of this? How can we use this positively to create structure so that we can have it in place for next time? So that we don't drain our energy with a lot of, choppiness. So, it's always about professionalizing the village, right? That's what we're always trying to do. So I just hope that we take some time to do that as part of this process. So, thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. We definitely have. Any other comments? Hearing none, I want to close the public comment and open it up back to the council for further comments. There's a motion on the table, on the dais.
Just want to read, just want to bring this to the record. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me now better? Yeah. All right. I just want to bring this to the record. Last meeting we had, I got a chance to meet Amy. She did express interest in the position. She did send me an email that she couldn't be here, and this was prior to the meeting, that she has eye surgery. Just texted her, right now as well, and prior to that, just to clarify whether she has interest in the position. And she does have interest in the position. So I just want to read that into the record, just to make sure, before we make any decision, correct.
So as interim in her start date, she could start immediately, so she would give 2-day notice at her current job? I would find that hard to believe.
No, but I didn't get to that level of question.
Okay.
If you want me to, I can just call her. You want me to call her right now? If you guys feel comfortable, If we want to address...
At this time.
No, at this time, I know.
No.
But I just the point was just to bring it to the record. Do you have a question, Council Member Rimadi?
No, I'm listening.
No, because, you have an expression like you're about to ask a question.
When I have a question, I will ask
okay.
you.
So no, that was basically the interest, that she does have
Okay,
interest in the
perfect.
position, and that at least should be considered before moving on forward. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Any other comments? Did you want to say something? Oh, any other comments from the council? All right, hearing none, there is a motion to consider Christia Alou. Madam Clerk, can I have roll call?
Madam Mayor, before you vote, just to clarify, by consider, I take it the councilwoman's motion was to Hire.
Hire.
As an interim manager.
Yes.
So we change the motion. The motion has to be to hire.
Hire as
Motion
interim.
to hire as interim. No time frame, right? No time frame.
None was proposed.
As interim.
Does it have to be solidified now, or does it have to be solidified when her contract is done? What would your recommendation be?
Pleasure of the council is to do whatever you feel is in the best interests of the village. That gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. You can specify a length of time, but you're not required to. You can simply state interim, which means until you decide to do something else. You're not obligated to keep anyone as interim. I do want to clarify that, since you're asking, you're not obligated to hire a new person. You certainly must have, as you stated correctly, someone fulfilling the responsibilities. I'll note that you didn't specify a termination date for the current village manager. So you could certainly give yourself a week or something and ask him to continue. In past circumstances, there have been times when the chief of police served as an interim manager. In past circumstances, there were times when the CFO served as an interim manager. But you can pick anyone you want, and you can pick them to serve for as long as you want, subject to any contract you enter into with them, and you can revisit that any time you want to, subject to contractual terms. So you have a lot of options. The motion that's before you doesn't specify for how long, doesn't specify salary, it doesn't specify any terms. It is a perfectly proper motion, and you can simply, if that's your direction, then you need to say when you're going to firm those things up and what will happen until you do, but the motion itself is a perfectly proper motion.
Okay, so at this time, although it's a perfect proper motion, would you like, I can make an amendment and add some of the comments that you have just made?
If that's your privilege.
I'm sorry?
Or I could.
My thought process is, I recall when Basil Binns was hired as an interim manager, a lot of that was done with aftermath. It was Councilperson Isaacs, as the chair of admin and finance, worked with you and worked with Jason at the time, and sort of brought forward to the council a contract that we approved. What we did agree.
Just add though, Madam Mayor, that in that circumstance, Jason was still here and stayed until those issues were resolved.
Yeah, and I have received nothing from the council in terms of a perception this evening, nor from the manager, that there would not be a transition period. And I'm under the assumption there would be a transitional period that would be determined based on the need, whether it's a week, whether it's two, absolutely. And I would think that in an effort to keep things consistent, we would do the same thing that we hired the interim manager, Basil Binns, it was exact same salary, exact same everything is what we did. It was not more, it was not less, it was exactly the same. I mean, that, especially because that's what's currently budgeted for.
That's your privilege.
And then I would just add, like I said before, and I don't know if the council would agree, that I think it's probably most realistic to take this to the end of the year, and obviously have a clause in there of flexibility, because we don't know what can happen. But I would think that that's 4 months. I think that would be sufficient time to do what we have from our perspective, which is appoint a steering committee, put the ad out, and sort of go through the same process we did a year ago, and have a little more time and not be pressured.
Let me just say, since you've asked, you don't need to specify that now.
Yeah.
You certainly have the privilege of coming back at your next regular or at any special meeting and having a separate discussion about the process that you're going to follow, and then you can adjust accordingly once you've decided what your process is going to be.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to amend the current motion on the table, which Councilperson Roman has made with regards to consider the hiring of an interim manager of Christia Alou. And the time frame would be to the end of the year, which is December 31st, at the salary at the same rate of the current manager, and that our current manager stay on for 2 weeks as an interim transition. That would be my recommendation. That would be my, my amendment to the motion. Sorry, better said. Okay, Madam Clerk, did you get that, or did you want me to repeat that?
No. For him to stay for 2 weeks.
It's been made by Mayor Cabillas, it's been seconded by Councilperson Mathis. Does anybody have a question? This is the time to ask the question. Yes?
Mayor, I would urge you to do that, to say, if that's your pleasure, it's, again, entirely proper, it should be to authorize the Chair of Administration and Finance to negotiate terms with the person that you're choosing, and if you're going to say till the end of the year, you should also add, unless otherwise decided by council at some subsequent date. You may need less, you may need more.
Okay.
I urge you to include those two. And then the question that you should consider is, if you're going to authorize the Chair of Administration and Finance, is it your pleasure, since you're asking the manager to continue to perform his duties for another 2 weeks, that whatever arrangements the Chair of Administration and Finance makes, certainly I'll assist in to the best of my ability, that come back to a special meeting of council for approval.
Absolutely. Did you want to make that amendment?
What Joe said. I was writing it all down.
Joe, do you want to go ahead and repeat that for the record so the clerk?
As I understand, your motion is to amend your amendment is to amend Councilwoman Roman's motion to specify that Christia Alou be hired as an interim manager with her to begin her job performance in 2 weeks, during which time the current manager would.
No. I would want her to start immediately so she can work with the manager in this transition.
Yeah.
Okay, but only one person is the manager, and the point is you need to approve the terms for her before she can begin. I mean, you can have her being paid and coming in, but until you approve the terms that she's here under, like how much she's going to be paid. I heard what you said, and if that can be worded, that's fine, but she can't really I don't want to say can't, but you ought to. Now, there's nothing that says if the manager's going to stay 2 weeks, if the Chair of Administration and Finance can negotiate it more quickly, and you can call a special council meeting with proper notice and advice to everybody in the village as to what's going to be done. You certainly could do it sooner, but she can't really take up her duties until the council approves the terms under which she's going to do that. So the motion to amend would be to, and I'll take that into account, to amend it to provide that Christia Alou be hired as the interim village manager, subject to, with the current manager staying until her hire becomes effective upon approval by council, with the Chair of Administration and Finance to negotiate the terms with her and bring that back to a special council meeting for approval, and with the understanding that it is anticipated that her term as interim manager will be approximately 4 months, subject to any earlier vote by council to shorten or extend that.
So I have a question with that. So I understand what you're saying, because by charter, there's only one manager to be on duty, and I respect that and I understand that. So couldn't we not then say, in an effort so there be a transition, once the contract is agreed, that there be a proper transition, because I do believe that they should work together for a couple of weeks. Couldn't she be the inner manager, and we hire him as a consultant for 2 weeks and work with her?
Absolutely,
Okay.
that's what's contemplated by what
Okay.
I said.
Okay.
As soon as the council.
Okay, approves the contract.
The terms.
The terms. And the terms,
I don't even hesitate to call it, doesn't have to be a contract, it can be by resolution.
yes, what we did for Basil. Yeah.
But the only point I'm making is, until the council says, yes, that's a deal,
Okay.
that the candidate has agreed to, they're not really legally authorized.
I understand.
to act.
So what we did last year for the interim manager, we did it by resolution. And and basically, the terms were exactly to what the manager then, Jason Walker, was exactly making. So it was exactly the same thing. There was nothing special, different, better, or more. It was the exact same thing. So I would recommend that we do the exact same thing. Exactly what David Roseman is making should be the same thing.
I'm sure the Chair of Administration and Finance will take that suggestion
Okay.
into account. And ultimately, that's the point of having all of you vote, well, it doesn't have to be all five, but it takes 3 votes.
committee.
Having all of you vote on it as a council so that it is official. It's not the work of one council
Absolutely.
member, because you cannot delegate that
Absolutely.
authority to one.
No, we just delegate him to work with you, because all five, he has to negotiate the process, and then get back to us. Now, there's a motion on the table. May I ask the attorney and the chair of admin and finance, can you give us a time frame so we can be identified tonight? Can it be Monday night that we meet?
I'll start on this tomorrow, and I could be ready Friday.
I don't see why not.
Okay, I'm out of town, I'm fine with that, if the council comes together, I'm out of town with Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, on Saturday, for the village, yes, I'm out of town at a conference representing the village, so.
Monday?
So you're suggesting.
I mean, I'm comfortable, if the council feels comfortable doing it, or you can wait till Monday, it's at the will of the council.
You're suggesting Monday, the
August 21st.
First day of school.
Yeah.
You okay with that? Are you okay
Yeah,
with
that's
that?
fine.
Tuesday through Friday.
August 21st.
In
August
terms of your amendment, Mayor,
Yes,
that can be put to a vote unless Councilwoman Roman decides to accept it as a friendly amendment. She certainly has the ability to do that, and if there's no objection from council, you can proceed that way. Otherwise, you need to vote on your amendment.
okay, do you want to take it as a friendly amendment, like the attorney just recommended?
I
Say it
do.
on the record.
I do.
Okay.
I'll take it as a friendly amendment,
Without objection
without objection.
from any council member.
From any council member?
No objection.
No council member.
Okay, no,
objects.
Without objection?
We still need a roll call.
Well, yes,
No
it'll be
objection.
on the motion as amended.
A motion is
Without
amended.
objection
There's no
from any council
objection to
person.
amending.
Madam Clerk, more importantly, did you get all that?
Yes, and it's also being recorded, so I
Okay.
can double check.
Okay. Madam Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Absolutely. Roll call. Councilperson Dreyer.
No.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes 4.
Okay, so just to wrap up all that for the audience who's here, which means we're going to meet Monday, August 21st at 7 PM to solidify everything we just said this evening, as it relates to this particular item. And we'll make sure that the agenda is stated accordingly. Attorney Geller, you might want to ensure that we have the proper verbiage, so that when the clerk notices it, that the residents understand what we're going to be doing August 21st.
When I'm in the country, the clerk and I.
Okay, at this time, anybody in good and welfare? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to adjourn the special council meeting at 9:21 PM. Thank you. We have an open meeting of the budget workshop. Erwin, you can come up, and it's at the will of the council of where we're at and how we feel. We can't,
Well, you warned me out, but let's keep going.
we can do it Monday night. I mean, that's cutting it really close.
Okay. Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah, can you talk in the phone?
Why don't we just go through each department and not go through each line, but just say, does anyone have any questions on any line, and just concentrate on those items?
Okay.
And I think we can knock it out within 20 minutes.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Erwin. Thank you.
So we finished administration and we went through administration and finance.
And I just want to add something for Councilperson Dre and for Councilperson Roman, because it's a first process with us. Just remember, everything we're saying today is just conversation.
Right.
If you guys see something, email Erwin. We have 2 hearings in September, okay? So we have 2 opportunities to pass this. So nothing is final tonight. So you may see something and you have a lot of questions. There's 2 hearings, and at that time is when we make all the decisions, okay? This is a good time to digest, get a feel for it, and then you can email Erwin all your questions. Give me one second. Okay.
Okay, we were in the finance and administration department budget.
I just want... Budget, but of course if there's a...
I count on you to please get a hold of the chair tomorrow, so you guys can work on that, okay? So we don't...
I'm at the chairs this
Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Let me say, I will be here, of course, when we have the budget, actual budget hearing, specifically on the workshop.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'm
Sir.
also gonna, based on that note, you mentioned that if we can send just questions to, the CFO, then I'm gonna excuse myself, if
And-
that's okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's also on the record. I mean, it's also being recorded, and you can always get it, whatever.
If you have any questions, just shoot me the questions and I'll respond to you right away on those.
Don't copy everybody else.
Don't- yeah, no.
You're right, one-on-one, yes.
No, not one-on-one, just to the clerk.
Not to do, yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Okay, we were on page 2 of the finance and administration budget.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, if I may for a
Yes.
second. I just want to say for the record, Erwin, because Councilperson Mathis wasn't here, but you did speak about his compensation raise.
I knew you were going to bring it up, so I already
Yeah,
brought
so
it up.
he brought it up for you. I just want to say that, so he knew.
Okay, so just for the record, that was the increase to 6, the FRS, right, benefits to be added on,
Okay.
which would add about $30,000 to the bottom line.
Okay.
Okay, we were on page 2 of the finance and administration budget. The only line I had a question on was on grant writing. We had put in $10,000 into the budget for grant writing, and the issue's going to be, based on what we're going to try to apply for this coming year, do we want to increase that or leave it the same?
My only thing with that, and one of the comments I made to Erwin, and we have to address, is that there is no contract in place for that grant, and that needs to be addressed for the new year. If currently we use Robert Rano, he's great, but when it's anything like this in terms of dollars, anything over $5,000 per auditing, we must get 3 quotes so that it's on the record and then we select one.
That's okay, but the question is, what's the dollar amount that you want to set? Regardless of who we select, we have to come up with an upper dollar limit that we want to spend for that line item.
I said 8.
80?
8.
Oh, I'm comfortable with 10.8. I mean, we have to take a look at what he's been able to give us. I mean, provide for us. He has done all the tree grants. I'd like him to spend more energy in some police grants. I think that would be important.
What page are you
How many
on?
grants have we received from him?
Admin and finance, I'm so sorry.
Finance, and this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't I see it?
Have we been awarded?
David Roseman, I have a question. How many grants has Robert Ruano actually awarded, gotten for the city? Like 3, 4?
Yeah, 4. We are working on a 5th one. Well, I don't know if we can count the ones that he helped our police department, but at least 4.
At least 4.
And what were the values of those grants?
Why don't I see the grants? What am I missing?
No, I can tell you better.
Oh,
I
the
won't
top
want
one.
to be on the,
They were smaller grants?
My eyes.
it was $10,000 more.
Okay.
So it's at least, what he's saying is
So
at
it
least
pays for it.
$40,000.
It pays for itself,
If we
yeah.
have to spend 10 to make 40, it's worth it,
Yeah,
obviously.
I agree. I agree. Okay.
Any other comments on finance administration?
It's just, when I look at the, and I'm just asking a question. The manager's car allowance, is
The
that,
storage unit.
have we done that always in the past?
It's always been the same, it's $400 a month.
Okay, so it's customary.
And
Okay.
then there's a $200 cell phone allowance.
And what's the rental of, what's the water cooler?
That's still,
Water.
What's the water?
The water cooler.
Water
Right there.
cooler.
Oh, the water cooler, oh, okay.
And the storage unit rentals?
Yeah, that's where we have the off-site storage. You know, for all the boxes of documents we have that we run in a room here, we store them off-site.
Right.
At Blue Self-Storage.
But didn't we just do something for record retention? Isn't that a part of scanning all of that?
No, record retention was the individual that David had hired to try to clean up how the documents are being
Oh,
stored.
that's a person, not a...
Right, it's a
okay.
person.
A process, okay.
So when we go to, quick question, when we go to a cloud, is that going to be, we're not going to need that storage, are we? Or
You still have to retain your records.
you still
one
have to
way or the other.
retain? Okay.
But I thought the only thing we had to retain were the blueprints.
No, even for the IRS, you got to retain your records, right, for IRS purposes.
I'm talking about as far as a lot of the stuff that's in that storage is IRS stuff?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in the storage. I mean, you'd have to, it's like going through a minefield there because there's stuff in there that's years and years old. The truth is, a lot of that could probably be disposed of because it's so old, but someone's going to have to go
Somebody's
through
gonna go
those
through.
storage units, box by box, determine what to keep and what to destroy. And also, remember, there's a cost involved with that, right? There's also a cost involved because, you know, if you start shredding, it's expensive. It's not inexpensive. It's public records that you want to make sure that are properly destroyed.
Wow.
Okay.
Do we have somebody out there? Just in case.
I'm not scared.
Other questions? I'm going to move along.
Yeah?
Okay, we're going into planning and zoning. Next page. Now, the only big change here from last year is I moved the building department salaried positions. Those have been moved from planning and zoning to a department called Code Enforcement Building Department. Okay, so that's why you don't see them here. All you're going to see here, if you look at next year, you're going to see the CAP group, which is for the building permits. And you're going to see the, actually, I should probably move them to building department also, right?
So we're keeping them?
CAP should be moved there too.
I don't know,
I thought
Yeah, I thought there
I
was.
thought we were done with them.
No, that's
No,
for the.
you still need
no,
the
no, for
inspectors and
That's
that
for
stuff,
that's
right?
for that's true, we are, no,
I
that
thought
was
we-
for, they still get a percentage
Yeah.
of the, they get 50% of the building permits.
Why is
Mechanical
that?
permit, that's the agreement that we have with them.
How long is that agreement?
Beg your pardon?
Yeah.
By the way, that's a pretty good agreement, because if you look at some of the other cities, like Biscayne Park, it's not a 50-50 split, it's much less.
Okay, but what are they
So it's good for
providing?
them, basically,
Yeah,
you're
but
saying.
what are they?
Okay.
What service are they providing?
They
It's
do
not-
the inspections and
They're
stuff.
doing all the inspections.
They do it, no, they have to go out to the field, they do inspections.
But we have a building inspector.
No, that's
No.
Raul, you're talking Raul, that's
Raul.
different. Now, Raul's doing, how to describe?
that's Wendy's,
Sorry?
sorry. No, it's
Wendy's.
Wendy's. No, just leave it there, the clerk will take care of it. Just stay in here, please. Thank you.
The way we had the agreement before with them, they were getting a monthly fee, like a salaried fee,
Right.
plus 50% of the permits that were generated.
But that's because I thought that was because we had their employees. We were.
Well, before, we've, that's true too, because we had it as their employee. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to
That
that.
contract needs to be looked at because I mean, if they're not
Yeah, we should look at the
services on
contract.
site, they shouldn't be compensated.
Well, it would make sense that if the only services being provided are Raul, that's the building inspector, and everything else is now internal, they shouldn't be entitled to anything, would be correct. So that's a good question, and I'm going to find out on that tomorrow.
We're talking about the 62,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 62.5.
And the master plan consultant, is that Plus Serbia?
That we anticipate is going to continue next year.
That's Plus Serbia?
That's Plus Serbia.
60.
Which one's Pluservia, I'm sorry?
The
60?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay. And you'll get back to us on the 62.5, right?
Yeah, and, beg your pardon?
You'll get back to us on the 62.5?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send an email on that. And the other thing is that there was one consulting fee moved to stormwater, which is the sanitation fees we're paying, which is about $61,500. And you'll see that we'll see that later on the last page on the special revenue budget.
And that building inspector, that's Raul?
Yes.
Okay. Can you
He's
just-
600 a month, 12 months of the year, $7,200.
How long have we had Raul?
Right.
I just,
long as I can
I think we
remember.
need to discuss that at admin and finance, if you could just make a note of that.
Okay.
What was that? I didn't hear what you said.
I asked how long
Cap
have we had
government.
Raul?
Cap government.
A long time.
Raul?
That's right.
Yeah, of course.
Raul's
He's
around
part of
for
cap government, yeah.
Years.
It's like one of the biggest part of
Yeah.
government.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to the clerk's budget. Now, here we talked about that you want to add a line item to the end, which is for the AV equipment. You
Yeah.
talked about adding a line.
Yes.
How much is that going to cost you, Denise?
Not sure right now. I mean, who are we going to be discussing it? I'm going to go into some on August 21st, and then we're going to be discussing it. They don't have
Can
any.
you just call some other municipalities to get an idea for what it's going to cost?
Is that they're all going to be there. Yep, all the municipalities are having a meeting, and that's where
On
I'm
the
going.
21st?
Yeah, on the 21st, actually.
That'll be
yes.
next week, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
So I'll have the numbers by then, but they don't have any numbers
you
now.
don't have
as
any
of now.
idea what the range would be for it. Okay. And I'm sure
Give or
there's some
take, maybe he can tell us, give or take, because he's doing the presentation.
35
But my-
25 to 35,000?
But my question is not so much having them record us, all our meetings. My question is our audio. Our audio is poor. People back there
Well,
is that something, is that part of what you do? You
Yeah.
fix their speaker systems?
That's
and
one of the things we discussed.
Okay. Yeah.
There's wireless systems and wireless microphones you can get now that don't have to be like corded in and stuff like that that are relatively inexpensive. I mean, maybe no one's taken a look at them, but there are definitely.
The issue is it audio all they're trying to get out of it, or are they trying to get something, are they trying to get the recording out of it also, which is going to be more expensive, so.
Because we would like to stream eventually.
We'll just see what the options are, but by the end of next week, if we could, so that for the
course,
second
of
meeting, we'll be
course.
ready for that.
Of course.
Okay.
At municipal elections,
Well, we don't have any next year, we'll have them, but it'll
have
be in
one next year.
19, not in
Fall-
18.
Falls in the following year, it's
Right.
November.
It'll be in the following year's
It goes
budget.
into the following
next
budget.
election, yes, okay.
I asked
What is
same
the
thing.
communications additional cell?
$100 a month cell phone allowance.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not getting now, because I said no.
You're not getting it?
No. I'm going to get like one of the phones when I look into the Verizon. We have to do a lot of things with the lines cut and stuff. Because there are things that are being paid that's from the previous administration. But because we have contracts, we haven't been able to stop it. So I just want to get a lump sum. Remember, we discussed this. If I have the time to go and actually just pay it off.
We're actually paying cell phone bills on people that are no longer alive.
Alive?
What?
Contracts.
Yeah, but we can't get out of that?
Daisy Black's old phone.
Yeah.
Because
We
it's
can't get
under-
out of those contracts?
No, it's under, it's a group contract. You can't just cancel one phone out of it.
Although Daisy,
Why can't they
although,
her phone to somebody else then?
although Daisy Black's contract, I did end because she's deceased. So I did end hers. But that was something that I
Jason
found from
Walker's
the
old phone,
previous
I think, is still
administration.
on there.
Yeah.
So, and we are with Verizon?
We're with Verizon for the police department, and we're with AT&T for the council.
Right.
Why is it two different companies?
That was from the previous administration.
We're going to try to clean, we're trying to.
That's we're trying to.
Denise is in the process trying to
Yeah.
clean the whole thing up, so we have it under one umbrella and make it
That would,
much
that
easier.
would, that would, that would be,
Yes.
that would be
great.
very good. It would make
Just
most,
assign this phone to somebody else? Like, come on.
No, no,
Well,
no.
the issue may be where's the phone also.
It's open to the public.
There's no public to hear, but they'll see it.
That's it for the clerk's budget. I mean, everything else is pretty well the same. I left $8,500 for advertising, which should be enough, especially if we don't have an election, that should be more than enough. And $3,000 for education and training for any additional seminars you have to go to for next year. Okay, we're going to move on to the police budget, the big budget on
I had public affairs next.
Well, that's-
519 is,
But the bigger budget's police. Do you want to get?
oh, no, that's fine, I have police, okay, we can do police.
I have police.
I put them in order by department numbers.
Oh, you changed it.
Oh, you changed it.
I am.
So you notice on the executive salary for police chief, it was 42.5 last year because it was only a half year,
Right.
a little over a half year. And for this year, depending on what we're doing, I just budgeted at 80,000, which was what the salary was before.
I want to do 75.
I'm sorry?
75.
Say it on the microphone.
75. I want to change 75.
75 what?
75,000.
It was 79,800.
It goes to the police department.
79,800.
Through the police department.
Wasn't 75.
Okay.
They told me that.
Now, there's a correction on the second line.
It was really
The
low.
second line should say sergeant and 6 full-time officers, not 5. That's a typo.
But the
So-
amount is the correct
The
amount.
the amount is correct.
But I have a
Did we make a
question.
change on the police chief? Did that just happen?
I lowered it by 5,000.
I would question that.
How much was Chief Morales making?
80.
80?
He was making 79,800, approximately.
I mean,
Well, what's your reasoning on it?
yeah.
I'm trying to cut this budget,
I know, but.
and I think every department needs to cut.
Right, but
No, I agree.
this is a really important position, and so.
You wanna go higher?
I'd like to, no. I'd just like to maybe compare,
Okay.
you know.
What does the chief make at Biscayne Park?
I think he makes a
I don't know
lot
if they
more. I
have
think he
one
makes
now.
100
Do they have one now?
Actually, I think the police department within
It's
itself,
been like
even the
puppy
police
mill.
officers make more money if you're gonna go there.
I think
Well, I'm gonna ask
well,
them
they have
as
a lot
starting
of
with-
commercial.
They don't have any commercial. Biscayne Park?
I'd like to compare, and I wouldn't touch that.
What I'm looking at is, I didn't look at the salary there. I looked at, and it's not cutting, but, you know, okay.
Biscayne Park was
Well-
difficult because it was an officer that came up the ranks and was made police chief, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah, but they also have they don't really have a a
How many
base, but they have a lot of duplexes.
How many
so
full-timers
those
do we
aren't-
have right now? We have 4.
And we're trying to hire one
And we're
now.
trying to hire
It'll
one.
be 5, and I'm saying one more we have to bring on to make it 6.
And we,
Because before we had 7.
I know, but I was going to ask the council if it's a thought. David Atwood made like 70 or something. I mean, could we break that in 2 and pay each officer 35 and have, so we can maybe move that to 7 police
Well,
officers?
what we really have to look at is what's the loss.
Can we sustain
gonna-
that?
There's going to be a loss, so what's the loss going to be before we do that? That's going to be part of the issue. Because if we add on 25,000 for an AV, I'm just throwing
Oh,
numbers out
okay,
there,
okay,
and
okay,
we're
okay.
adding on, we're going to raise the stipend from 3,000 to 6,000, then,
Also, that 62, we don't know what that is too, so.
And-
That might, the 62.5?
yeah, but still, it's still going to be, if we start adding up all the numbers,
Yeah.
it's going to be.
No, and the other conversation that the council's going to have in September is, I finally met with Tish Bice, and I know, right? Tish Bice, we've been talking about them for so long. I met with them. No, and I met with them, and one of the things that they're going to come, and Madam Clerk, I have to send you this email, but they're going to be here September 11th to meet with us and talk to us about development agreements. And one of the things that we could really talk about then, so we don't have to worry about the budget, is maybe as part of our development agreement with the Barrington Brothers, is that they add 2 police officers to our budget. So all that conversation, we can talk about that. So that's,
Right, there are going to be negotiations, there may be an
Yeah,
increase
yeah,
in salary
yeah,
that's
yeah.
negotiated, so we really don't know
Okay.
what the
No, I understand.
final number's
Okay.
going to be.
I like that, but I think
But that's, yeah.
But how-
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine, fine.
Just for a sign of
But the
mutual
average officer now is making about 35,000.
I understand.
Yeah, 35 times.
35 and change.
So you did 35 times
I did
6,
35 times 6 plus 54, I think is what I said.
that's 54, which is the sergeant's salary.
Around there.
Okay, perfect. And then I see we upped the part-timers a little bit, so that's good.
Yeah, the part-timers I just raised just slightly, but certainly shouldn't be less.
No, it's good, I'm fine with 60.
Overtime, whatever we spent this year is what I put for next year, basically, the court time and the overtime.
I would like to just see more money in training. I think training in every department is so important.
Yes.
And I think it's necessary. I'm pro more money in training if possible, because you just can, even for us, training is really important.
And the holidays is just, they're all entitled to 10 holidays a year. So it would be 10 times the number of officers times 10 hours per day.
This
because
is
they work on a
11.
10-hour day.
Plus 2
That's right.
This says 11, which is the holiday. You said 10 verbally, but on here it says 11.
Where are you looking?
Holiday.
Holiday
Holiday
pays is
pay?
11 payad.
Yes, what you
Is it
paid.
10 or 11?
11
10 or
paid,
11
2
holidays.
floating.
It's 11, okay, it's 11,
Oh, it's
sorry.
11.
It's 11.
So we have part-timers that are paid,
No, only the full-timers. Who gets holiday pay? The part-timers don't get holiday pay? Only the full-timers.
Okay, so.
Only the full-timers get the holiday, only the full-timers. The part-timers get FRS, but they don't get vacation and they don't get
that's what it
and
is,
they
they
don't
get
get
FRS.
Sorry? And they get health insurance, yes.
Part-timers get health insurance?
All police part-timers get health insurance?
Well, if they're over 30, 20, it's 20, well, it's really less, I think by law it's less than 35, but in contract it may be 35.
Wait, what?
It's not by contract. It's not, they're not protected by the contract. So
They're not? Okay, so you can offer health insurance to one part of your employees and not to your others.
You can't, that
No.
should be illegal.
It's illegal.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they're working, I think it's more than 24 hours a week. Like Sandy Owen doesn't get health insurance because he works only a few hours per week. But the others that are putting in 24 hours or more, they're entitled
It's
to the health
25.
insurance the same as the full-timers.
25.
25, sorry,
I
not
spoke to
24.
Sebastian about that, and there's 12 holidays, by the
Yeah.
way. That's what I went to
It's
tell
25, not 24.
So every officer that works 25 hours a week, they get paid,
It's $385 plus with division of the other, call it $400 plus 50% of any overage above that. That's what the contract currently has. So if it was $300 more than that for their health insurance, we would absorb 150 and they would have to pay 150. Right now, there's no one taking the excess as far as the officers go. There's no one above that.
Can we get a list of the officers that work over 25 hours and have benefits, so just we know?
Yeah. If you ask, we can ask Carlene tomorrow, just from the last payroll, how many officers work what
And how do
hours?
we track their time?
Timesheets.
Do you have time?
Okay, is
it a time card?
is it a time card or written?
Written.
It's written,
Why
they're
do we have a
turned.
time card?
Why can't we change to a,
No, because it doesn't work.
Okay.
We tried it, I set up an electronic time card, they weren't clocking in, they weren't clocking out, there wasn't
Then if
balance.
they
It would- They don't do
clock
it.
in,
They don't
you-
follow, they don't follow
get
it.
paid after a certain amount of
You can't do that.
Well, if you were here,
You'll get sued.
you're not here.
You'll get sued.
Government is
Yes.
You
different.
can't do that. You can't withhold salary.
Government is very delicate.
Let me ask,
There's gotta be a way, because, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, is there a way? I mean, I don't
was-
know.
I was just gonna
Right, I want to hear from you,
Like,
like,
chief,
talk to us, because I think
time-
that's,
Time clocks are good because then you can have accountability.
Right.
The only thing, it also can come and bite the city in the butt, because if an officer comes in 10, 15 minutes early and he clocks in, you got to pay him. That goes into overtime.
So that's what they were doing. They were clocking in before they really started, and when I looked at the spreadsheets for the time, it didn't make any sense because, you know,
Madam Chief, how does City of Miami do it, or Doral do it, or do you know?
They don't have time clocks.
So
They just.
nobody
They
pretty
have a
much.
roll call system, don't they?
I have a crazy question. So why are they hourly? Why aren't they just salary?
they're not hourly.
Right.
That's
So
what he's
she's
saying.
asking why not.
If they're not clocking in or clocking out, why
Why
aren't
aren't
they
they
just salary?
just salary? Like, why?
They're not exempt. They're not eligible.
Right.
exempt.
Because they're part-time.
No, I'm talking about the full-timers. I'm talking about the full-timers.
No, I'm talking about full-timers.
Oh, per contract, we can't do that?
It's PBA.
And it's written on our contract. I mean, it can be changed, but for right now, that's the way it's written.
But if we look at the contract,
Is that something that
We can
the
negotiate.
full-timers
Yes. Oh.
would prefer? Is it, we have to look at that. I don't know what interest, because I
Well,
think it
with
would
the
make.
full-
Well, I think with the full-timers, it's not an issue.
well,
Is it?
Well, they also would prefer, I mean, if the city, right now, we haven't had any overtime, only court time. There was, in the past, David Atlee would do a lot of court time, so the overtime would be hit on that. He would be one that would not want a salary.
Well, let's stop for a second. There's one thing. If the
Well-
the part-timers, the court time is regular rate. For the full-timers, it's time and a half.
Right. So they want their overtime. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
no, I mean, that's understandable. I mean, if you're working overtime, it's overtime. That's understandable. I just
But
think
they
there's
have
gotta
a-
be
the-
some type of
But the
accountability.
court time is a system by itself, because the county provides those numbers to you, right? They have to take their subpoenas and get their subpoenas clocked in.
They come in, they clock in, and they attach it to our timesheets.
Okay.
Right.
So I think for the part-timers, there's gotta be a tighter, I mean, in general, we have to have a tighter.
Yes, and I agree. That's what I'm working on when it comes to the scheduling, to try to have officers out here when, as needed, not because they show up and they just put in hours. So
Correct.
that's why I'm here to see about the
And
budget, to see how
especially
much
we're
we have.
paying benefits.
That's why we should have a list.
Yes.
The only benefit we're getting is the FRS, and they have to
And
be
health
FICA
insurance.
Well, they're also getting the
Health
benefit of having a
insurance.
badge.
And health
And that's a,
insurance.
yeah, and they get health insurance, right?
Right.
Yeah, they get health insurance.
Yeah.
And because they're doing time here, they get a badge. So it's not, it's got to work two ways. It's got to be a two-way street, not just a
We've
one-way
tried,
street.
I'm just telling you, I don't have sufficient help now. Don't add anything else, more accounting work on top of it, because it ain't gonna happen.
Well, we're not trying to add more accounting work. No, Erwin, we're not trying to add accounting work. And we're not trying to look for you to have solutions for us. We're just having a conversation, and we're speaking to the chief, and perhaps, moving forward, chief, you can look at tightening up that, that's a concern of ours.
Just to work with, there's got to be a way to work more efficiently. That's just,
What does the
I mean,
contract
I have a
say?
time clock.
The issue is,
Well, the part-timers are not protected by the contract.
so it should be that if you're supposed to clock in at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you clock in at 8:50, that you're still only gonna get paid from 9 o'clock. But I don't know if you can do that.
Okay, for the full-timers, they have the same schedule. Okay, and unless I have a shift bid, that's the only time it's gonna change. With the part-timers, yes, I can hold them accountable. If they're scheduled at this time to come in at 10 o'clock, that's all they're gonna get paid for. You come in at 10 to 8, my midnight shift, they need to be here by 10 o'clock, and they clock out at 8 o'clock, unless there's an emergency.
Emergency,
But you have to give me a reason and show the evidence as to why. It's not because, they're just telling me. It's up to me to hold them accountable, and I have to go ahead and research it.
So if there's a clocking system, before their hours go in, you can review it and say, okay, they weren't approved for overtime, and then these are the hours that you pay them for, or whatever.
Yes, but
In reality, what we're saying is we need to modify the policies and procedures for the part-time officers, that there's a procedure put in place that has to be reviewed by Ronnie at the end of a month or end of the pay period, and signed off on before they're given to the finance person to call in the payroll. That's all. That's the answer.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting off focus a little bit here, so I'm gonna get
Yeah,
to
that's fine.
Maybe you don't want to get home, but I do.
Okay.
Okay, going down the list, see if there's anything else you want to talk about?
What did we end up doing with the vehicles?
And maintenance.
Yeah, that's for the vehicles, and I lowered, it was 15 last year, and I've lowered it to 10 this year.
We're getting new cars though, aren't we?
Yeah, we still have how many old cars?
How many-
She's gone.
I'm right here.
Oh. How many old cars are we still going to have?
Okay, right now, that's what I was gonna go ahead and inform you, that we have done a mileage and see how much it's gonna take to fix them. So we're gonna go ahead and auction out at least a minimum of 9 vehicles. Keep
Oh, wow.
one vehicle for
That's a lot.
decoy.
No, but how many are you going to have left?
How many are we gonna have after the new ones come in?
Well, our full-time officers.
You'll have the 5 new
vehicles
cars.
Is gonna be given to the part-timers.
Which one? Oh, the ones that you guys have now.
Right now.
Not 5, there's 3 of them, right?
How many of them?
Because there's 3 in good condition. 5? Okay, so,
So 10 cars we'll have? And what do we do with the chief's car that's parked back there?
So you're auctioning off 9?
We're estimating to hopefully do 9.
And then the 5 that you have now are going to be transitioned to the part-timers?
Yes.
And then
So
how
we'll have
many
10
new
cars.
ones are we getting?
5.
So
Okay.
we'll have 10 cars.
But what about the ones that you were getting for?
Yes.
Oh, we have-
My next question.
Okay.
What about the ones you're getting? How many are we getting on that?
From the last email that I saw, 2.
Okay, so,
What was that?
2 cars that will be donated from Sunny Isles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, so there'll be 10 new cars and 10
Oh,
older
you're trying to see
cars,
how
but
you can
not
lower
real,
them.
We'll have
but the
12.
real old ones
Yeah,
we're going to
trying to see.
dispose of.
because I'm looking at the warranty and
So
all
what
that
it looks like, we'll have 5 new cars and 7 old ones, or older ones.
Right.
So would $10,000 be sufficient in police vehicles maintenance, whatever? Is that what you're looking
Well,
at?
if we spent 15 last year, we had older vehicles, I would think that 10 should be more than enough to
10's
cover us for next year.
10's a good medium.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna have less.
Any other questions on,
Erwin, did we look at, and I know that we're going through this, but it was brought up by Councilperson Dreher about whether or not we were gonna try to finance or pay
No,
cash?
and I'm not, and to be honest with you, it's just, it would be a waste of time to do. We've already made the decision to make the purchase
That's
and spend
fine.
the money.
Okay,
So
I
why
just-
look at how we're going to spread out paying for it? It just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Can I ask a question in reference to the black vehicle that used to be there? Are we still paying for that, or is it leased?
No, what I thought we were going to do is that was going to become your vehicle, and then, you know, the 5 officers are going to get the new vehicles. No, because none of the new cars are going to be for a take-home car. None. So were you thinking of taking one of the new ones? No. No, because that's not what the council originally said they were going to do. The 5 cars.
Yeah, the 5 cars were for-
Specifically, were not going to be cars to be driven home. That was number one.
Yeah.
And the 5 officers need the 5 cars. We should have 5 new cars here on the road. Once you have a car and you take a take-home, you're adding a lot of mileage onto the car also. But it was never the anticipation that one car was going to be a take-home car.
Is that car still being paid for, or is it leased?
No, the last lease payment was made on it. We're finished with it this year. It's
So
done.
it's turned in?
What year did we get the car? What, we got it in 15,
3 years
14?
ago? 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I don't remember.
14, I think it was right after I got elected.
Yeah, because we made 2 years of lease payments
Yes,
on it.
December of 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Now
sorry,
what,
that was
now
about
what happens to the
late
car?
Huh?
Now what happens to
gotta-
the car? What happens to that black car?
Well, I thought that that car would be going,
How many miles does it have?
not that many.
For, last time I checked, about 60.
Do we have keys to the car? We have keys to the car? Okay.
Just a note, when the cars are auctions, I've already had residents come to me. They heard somewhere somehow for it to be
So there's
noticed.
9 cars,
Yeah,
okay.
they want to be noticed.
I just need to get the titles.
First dibs.
I haven't been able to find the titles of the vehicles.
Tallahassee.
Yes, I'm gonna have to, so it's gonna take a little bit,
Okay.
because then we're gonna have to take them apart, the officers, we, and each stripe. But then
Okay.
I'm still waiting for, I have to go ahead and reach out to Tallahassee to get the titles.
Okay.
And those 9 cars should generate between $13,000 to $14,000 of revenue. They're
Okay.
going to get about $1,500 a car, right?
And that's going to go in this year. We're going to do it before the end of October?
Well, once we know all the
Is
new
it-
cars are in and they're all equipped and we're ready to go,
Right, okay.
at that point you can do it, right?
And I think the cars arrive when, you all told me?
This week coming.
August, oh, perfect. And that's what that 160 is, right? Projected
Yes, the
machinery.
148 of the 160 is really the new cars coming in.
So even with the purchase of the new vehicles, we didn't go over budget?
Well, we have to do a budget amendment because.
Why, I know, but I'm just saying, we budgeted for this department 954,000, but we're only going to actually spend 820. I'm just putting that on the record.
We're going
Even
to
though
spend
we, even though we spent the 160 on
Right.
cars. But that was
Well,
because
what-
Officer Regal left, and I know
Well,
there
you're
was
forgetting
surpluses
also that
here
you're
and there.
showing a capital lease on there that we budgeted for that we didn't have.
So
for
we're going to,
53.
actually, so it's not 954, it's 863. So we're still under budget,
Right.
right?
It's
It's not really, we budgeted 954, but there's a capital lease that you told me to take out.
There's a capital lease in there for, it's really 863. when you-
863.
Right.
863 is what what we would have
And we're going to end
budgeted.
up at about 820.
Okay, so,
And the savings going to be basically on the salary lines that we didn't have to the end of the
Exactly.
year.
all right, so, we didn't go over budget.
Any other questions?
Oh, that's understandable.
No, not right now for that. Okay, let's go to, what's
Public
next?
affairs.
Yeah.
Your favorite department.
Oh, God, it's our thorn.
Okay, so I guess my only question is, what do you want to add?
I have a question with regards to the senior luncheon. How are we doing that, monthly?
What's that? I'm
Quarterly,
sorry?
Every other month?
What happened with the senior luncheon, we didn't host any this past year for different variables, but I think that's something that we had, I hosted July, I think it was a hurricane, a senior a seminar, and before doing that, the police officers went out and updated the list. So now we have an updated senior list. So I didn't really want to take that out because
No,
with
I'm
the-
not talking about
oh, okay.
taking it out. I want
Okay.
to know how often are we going to do it? It's going to be monthly? It's going to be
The committee has to
quarterly?
decide that. The Public Affairs Committee would have to decide that
How
when we
often
meet.
was it before?
Every other month, once a month. We used to do it on the third Wednesday of every month.
And how many attended?
15, 20, it depends, because the former manager wanted to change the wording, so it was no longer the senior luncheon, it was a resident luncheon. And as a resident luncheon, we had a lot of people.
All right.
But
I asked because I
but
wanted
with
to
an
know.
updated list, I think we really should just, approach the seniors again, and they really enjoyed coming to that seminar. So I think we'll have like a good 30. We had a nice like 20 seniors but I think every other month is reasonable. Like the third Wednesday.
So next year, are you going to have a State of the Union next year?
Every
We
year.
have it, by
it needs to
charter,
be
have to
in
have
here.
it every year.
Okay, so if you notice on our list here, that's never been listed, has
And
it?
neither is the 5K.
The 5K should be on here. It should have been on there.
And what I did notice is that the
It may be
80th
in the other.
anniversary, the
It may be
80th
in the other.
anniversary is not there.
Which one?
80th anniversary.
Right. And how much, do we know how much we're spending on that?
No, but that's a conversation that we have to have.
Whatever you tell me is going to be too much, whatever it is.
Of course, of course, of course. I mean, if the art fair took us like
that was
$7,000 to $8,000 to $9,000 for a one-day last year, and this year was double for the 2 days, I would say an 80th anniversary done the right way, and I'm going uber conservative, and I would say 10,000, but that's like nothing. But that's in the hope that we raise money, and I'm confident I can raise some money.
What
but-
about a State of the Union?
the State of the Village, the State of the Village.
State of the Union.
I've never budgeted anything. I think last year I spent only on invitations and on dinner.
But that was through our discretionary fund.
That was through our discretionary funds. We did it last year. This year, it's going to be a little different because we're commemorating our 80th anniversary. And I'm actually going to be working on that tomorrow with the clerk.
1,500?
1,500 is probably realistic. How much, Anthony was what, 1,000 last year for food?
How much did you say?
Yeah, about 800 or 900.
Are you going with
I
the
think.
same
No.
caterer?
But how much did you
well-
say? I'm sorry.
Did you get my email?
I didn't hear him.
sent
What
an
did he
email to
say?
the-
He recommended 1,500, but this year,
I did get it.
I'm going to have to,
That will go into
I'm gonna-
this? No, that will go in,
No, this year I have because it's a PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to need AV equipment. I'm working with an AV company right now. I don't want an audience, I want tables, like if it's for dinner.
So you think 1,500 will be enough then?
I don't
That would not,
Look.
but this year's not gonna go into that budget.
This year won't even go into
No,
that,
but
no.
we already discussed, because of the senior citizen not being used, we're gonna use the
Okay.
money for that, your
Oh my
budget, so you're
God.
gonna be good.
Oh my God, okay, thank you.
Make it more?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I'll do it next year. I mean, this year I'm going to do a little special because it's our 80th, but generally, we do invitations. The invitations cost me like $400 or $500. I think we just paid the bill for the invitations. So I think 1,500 is reasonable for a regular State of the Village.
Now, in the 5K run, I've got another category with $5,000 in it, and that was really for all the small little events. What did we budget for?
Councilperson
5K?
Mathis?
How much did we budget for 5K last year, do you remember?
I think we budgeted 1,500, but we raised like $3,000.
Remember, we're only budgeting the expenditure, not the
Right.
revenue.
Okay.
So it's in the other one called other, I think I lumped it in there with the $5,000 for other.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But last year we had a line for promotional events, and that's where the photographer came out of.
Okay, so.
And your website maintenance is actually wrong because it's.
Well, that's on a, that's.
It should be 2,700 because we just got a bill, and her bill is 200 a month, I believe, or 120 a month.
It should be 2,700?
Yeah, and one of the things that I emailed her, and I don't remember if I put the clerk in copy, but, and I don't have it, and it might have to go off for bid if it's more than 5,000, but I had asked her if she would, because a year ago when we were talking about this, everybody wanted a brand-new website. What I had asked her was, can you have a quote put together for us so you can update our, fresh and new website, maybe have an app that goes with it? I didn't get anything from her, but in the interim, I think we need to definitely put it in there. But we can all see from the residents, communication is so important, and they've honed in on it. And I really think that we need to channel our communication to the website. Facebook is great, Nextdoor is great, but it's got to be channeled through the website. So that's what the clerk manages, that's where we put everything at. It should be one place that they primarily go to, and everything else is
Why don't we
extra.
just bump up the other then from 5,000 to 10? And just because you always run over on the events, there's always ones that come up that are never budgeted for, and maybe just bump that up a little bit.
I think I like what we've done this year, where we kind of are, sort of taken aback. I don't think we should go crazy with the events again next
Yeah,
year.
no, I took a break in the summer because we needed it.
So,
None of the
I
events are
think we've
changing.
got a
though.
lot.
There's no events changing here, is there?
I mean, it's almost a moot point because we never keep to the budget lines
Yeah.
anyways on these events. I mean, it's just really surprising.
What I would like to see is the events to be line item, because it would help us better budget, because everything is so different, like the 4th of July, Easter, we got Halloween coming up, we got 5K. It would really help us if, for example,
split it up.
when we go buy all the stuff for Easter, then we're coming again, we know that we spend $900 for Easter.
So for 5K, we don't spend, I don't think there's any expense for 5K, is there?
It's the.
Oh,
the
yeah.
cl-
How much?
The clock and the shirts.
Do you remember how much it was around?
The clock, 1,100, and the shirts were.
So about $2,000?
Well, I estimated 1,750.
1,550?
1,750.
1,750? Okay.
And we raised money for that.
Yeah.
I think we raised about $3,000 for that event this year.
Any other events? Again, this is the first budget hearing. I'll list them out, and if you think of any others.
Oh,
we'll just-
Crime Watch, I think I hear
Yes,
the
sorry.
Citizens Crime Watch is not on here. I think that's $500.
$500.
And the role models, every year we do the role models, right?
And that was budgeted.
It was budgeted 500, but you know, with all these events, it goes up. It's $750.
It is?
Yeah, it's right
For
here.
what, role model?
At
For
the,
the table?
yeah.
It's 750?
No, 750.
Yeah.
How much was role model should be how much?
750. That's how much we paid. It says actual 750.
Not
And I-
revenue, expense, the expense.
The expense is 750.
Okay.
And if you go down to the League of Cities dinner, we allocated $2,500, but if you all remember, this year it cost $3,000, and each of us had to take $100 out of our discretionary.
So you want to bump that to 3 for next year?
Councilperson Mathis is giving me a look, so Council,
I was looking at the other one, sorry.
yeah, we'll plug this in, and obviously, we'll see what comes out in the end.
You'll
We
see
might
it
have
at
to
the
take
bottom
things back.
numbers when
Yes,
I'm done with all
exactly.
this.
Take away from PBA.
Yep.
Okay, so are we done with public affairs?
Now, let me ask one thing, Madam Mayor. For the Horace Mann, that's 1,500.
I was going to ask about that. I don't think we've given that this year.
Yeah, we haven't yet, but that's usually for what? Because has anybody gotten a call from the new principal?
I met
yet?
with him. Yeah, I did. He's really,
But
yeah,
he
yeah.
was gonna. He contacted me today, and he needs a little bit of help with his for the students with his like opening of school activities or whatever. So he was asking if there's anything that we could give as a village.
Well, we have the 1,500 slotted. I don't think it's been spent yet.
Well, I want to ask Madam Mayor.
No,
was
the only thing,
that was for something pretty particular.
because FCAT existed back then, and we did a Saturday peak, so FCAT doesn't exist
Yeah.
anymore. So that's really open to whatever we want for them. The reason it was, and it used to be 1,000, the reason it went to 1,500 last year was because I wanted to earmark it for community hoops, but we never used it for them. But as long as we use it for Horace Mann, I'm okay. Now, what I find interesting is that when we did the Earth Day cleanup with Horace Mann kids, and I purchased a pizza, I think I turned in a receipt. I wonder where that came out of, because it should have come out of the Horace Mann line.
That I can't tell you.
Okay.
And he doesn't need like 1,500, it's like 400 to 500 or something
Absolutely.
like that he needs. But
So
for
we're gonna
opening the
lower-
school
I'm
activities
okay
that
with
he
that.
wants to do
So we're
for
going
the
to lower it to
kids,
1,000
Huh?
for next year?
It could be 1,000. Are you okay with it for
Yeah.
1,000 next year?
And for this year, so
And
you can
yes.
tell them you have $1,500 that could be spent.
Okay. And yes, I agree.
I just
And you
texted him
got-
right now to see if.
you got
if
6
he
weeks to
contacted
spend
you guys and say yes.
Okay, perfect. All righty.
So let's move on to,
Just hold on one second, Erwin.
Yeah.
So school is opening next week. We're not meeting again until Monday. Is this something that we have to, is the council okay with it? Is it something that we have to
You
vote
don't need our
on
approval.
now? Are you guys
You
good?
turn in the receipt and.
as long as the
Yeah,
line
come on,
item, you
line
don't
item.
approve it. You don't
Okay.
need it. As long as everyone
Just
agrees,
making-
that's.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
that's not
everybody,
a problem.
I wouldn't just go into
You're
do something
good.
without asking you
You're
guys
good. You're
first.
good.
Okay,
for the
Code
kids.
Enforcement Building Department. Again, and David, there was a question that came up, which is a good question. If, for CAP, if Alina is working for us internally right now, do we still have to give them 50% of the permits?
The arrangement for CAP is for the inspectors and the reading of the plans, et cetera.
No, but it used to be that, okay, Raoul gets us 600 a month.
Right.
But it used to be that when CAP was here as a subcontractor,
Right.
they used to get their fee every month, plus 50% of the
Right.
permits that were
No,
collected.
We changed that. There was I don't know exactly what the figure is, but no, we lower that.
Well, the question is, the question they're asking is, why should they get anything if we have our own internal person now, and we have,
We need the inspectors.
sorry?
We need the inspectors.
That's what I was saying.
So Raul isn't enough to do the inspections by himself?
No, Raul is the building official, and for that, he gets $600 a month.
Okay,
How much a month? 600, right?
Right.
So that's the 7,200.
right.
Okay, that's
600 a
Raul,
month,
okay.
600 a month.
Right.
And they're for planning, they're for the,
And then we need the inspectors, the ones who go in and check to see that people are doing construction the way that they should.
okay. So that's where they get, that's, I think, and I still think they're getting the 50%, right? 50% of whatever the permit fee is?
No,
It's less?
it's less. We renegotiated that.
Okay, so I need to, I'll have to get from David what that percentage is, and then we'll adjust it accordingly.
Wasn't it always 40%?
No, 50,
It was 50/50?
yeah. Which was great, because like Biscayne Park is getting 40 on one and 30 on the other, so
Okay.
50/50 was a great.
So was 50/50 renegotiated?
It's always been.
No, you said it's been negotiated. My
You said-
question is, was it
No.
renegotiated to be different than 50/50, or is it?
Yeah, to be less.
So I guess when Elena came in-house, you renegotiated with them what their fees were.
Exactly.
So we didn't know what that is, so I can adjust the budget on it then.
Right.
So it just means it's going to be less. It's going to be less.
Because remember, we were paying, I can't remember how much it was, but to pay for Elena, and because Elena and Sonia were never originally on the contract. The money for them, now that I'm thinking about it, the money for them was used from the money that we were paying for
Oh, I know what it used to
Mark
be.
Douglas and
Yeah.
Michael Knowles and Kyoka.
What it was before, they didn't get any fee at all, no salary. They got 50% of the building permits with a minimum of X a month.
Exactly.
If they didn't meet if we didn't meet the threshold, they got the minimum per month. That's what it was.
Right, and
It's
for Elena
109,000.
and Sonia, it was the.
That was a separate deal.
contract.
Because that was,
No,
Elena and Sonia-
Hold on, no, that's.
But Elena and Sonia were
that's- no.
subcontractors to replace Michael and Keoki in the front. Sure.
No.
Yes, of course it was.
Elena just became our employee.
No, she was their employee before.
But Elena wasn't our employee before. She was a CAP
You're
employee.
not understanding. She was one of the subcontractors that was put in here with the other lady that was here.
Right.
They were here as subcontractors.
Right.
Then, we made her an offer to have her come in as an employee at that, and then the other lady disappeared. So the subcontract agreement disappeared, and we ended up with a
No,
salary
I
line
know
for Elena.
that, I know that. But it was to my understanding that the reason it was 117, and if you look at the years prior, it was never that high. It was that high because the employees were included on that, which is Sonia and Elena.
No.
Well, that was my interpretation of that. But hey, I guess that's water under the bridge.
This is simple. The cost of salary and benefits for Michael Knowles and Kyoka, whatever her last name is, was used to contract with CAP.
In other words, if you took their two salaries of, it was about 80,000, and you added on the FICA and the other benefits, it came to about the same money we were paying us to the subcontractor, just what it's saying.
All right.
But that's gone now, so the only issue we have for next year's budget is going to be for permits as they are right now. What's the minimum if they don't meet it? And then whatever we're budgeting in the revenues for building permits, the expense is going to be whatever the percentage is they get to keep.
And the thing with this is that they are going to want to renegotiate. They've been operating without a contract.
Who's they? CAP? And have you, but I thought you just said you negotiated with them, that you just renegotiated. I'm confused.
We renegotiated for the services,
But no contract.
but no contract. We didn't touch the contract.
So there's no contract for CAP right now.
Right.
So on CAP right now, it's whatever I got to know what rate you renegotiated with them, so I know what the percentage is.
We're gonna have to add a little bit to that. I will talk to.
You mean it's more than 50%?
No.
We renegotiated with them, but we have no contract. So
So whatever we were negotiating, where is it written?
No, what we need to know is for every dollar we collect in a permit fee, what percent of that are we paying to them? That's the only thing I need to know.
So do you have?
It's still 50?
David, do you have an email,
then-
or was that verbal, or
Okay, so
your negotiations?
bottom
that a
line,
verbal?
if it's $150,000 we've projected in revenues for building permits, or it's 125, then the fee should be $62,000. 50% of whatever the revenue is. That's what we pay.
Okay, but was it verbal, or was it?
The renegotiation was for the services.
Right.
Yes.
We took the money from salary,
Uh-huh.
and we negotiated for them to provide the services. It did not have to do with the
Right, but
permit
that
fee.
negotiation or those communications that you had with
But
them.
that was before. That's the old stuff. We're talking for the current one. In other words, he's saying when it switched from subcontract to salary. But if we look at today, where we are today, it's still the same. They get 50% of every dollar that's collected in building, mechanical, electrical.
No, I understand
But
that.
there's no
But there's no So I guess my question is, when the decision was made to hire CAP Government to completely outsource the front desk, because we did do that for a period of time, was there a contract to that?
No, the contract was verbal, and it was, this is how much money we are paying in salaries. You have to provide us the same service for that amount.
Okay, so
So that's Elena. Okay, now, the next line is that I had moved Carlene's position down to building department.
Yeah, but
Because-
wait, what department are we in? We're
still
on
in
five.
Building code
Building
enforcement.
code enforcement.
Okay, so Atlanta's salary is 50,000.
It's 49.2.
That's incredibly high.
Well, it was just adjusted by $44,000.
It was 45.
It's incredibly high.
She was making 52 at cap.
That's CAP, we're not CAP, we're El Portal. I mean, I, with all due respect, 50,000 in the front desk with another
Well, no,
person up front at 40,000
what
is
you
very
really
high.
have- What you really have, the question you really have to ask, if you call, let's say Biscayne Park and say, how much are you paying for your building?
Okay, but Erwin, with all due respect, we just said the same thing about the chief and about the manager, but we can't compare ourselves to
No,
other
you're
places,
missing
so.
my point is, it's someone that has to understand building permits, which is the reason that...
I
The
understand.
reason we brought the CAP in as a subcontract and then
understand.
brought her in-house is because we saw that we were missing much revenue because they didn't know even what to collect on the various permits. That was part of the issue.
There's two things, there's one thing I missed that I want to go back real quick before I get into the Atlanta conversation. As we said in all the departments and in planning and zoning, we missed it. There's no money in training. If there's one thing all these departments need is training.
But in planning and zoning, it's all subcontractors, so who are you going to train?
Well, doesn't Atlanta have to be a part of the problem?
She's in building.
I understand.
Right, but she's in
But everybody should be cross-trained. In this small department, we should all be cross-trained and have a better understanding so that, hey, guess what? There's not driveways being done that they don't realize it's got to go through planning. So does she know what goes to planning, what that doesn't go to planning? I mean, I think there needs to be a training as we move forward because we really don't do that, whether it's for code enforcement, whether it's for planning. I mean, there needs to be a cross-training process. And I just see a line of
So on
$500
the-
and it would behoove us to consider training for planning and zoning.
Okay,
That's
so
all
on the
I recommend.
building department budget, we'll add, what do you want to add, $3,000?
Whether it's Placervi that comes in here and does a training, which I think I had a conversation with Juan, he should come in here and do a training for the whole staff. I think it's very necessary.
How much would you like to set there?
I have no idea what that would look like. It's just a
I would
recommendation.
say $3,000 or
Especially if we're paying somebody
$4,000,
$50,000 for the front desk.
Sorry?
they need to-
3,000? That's a lot.
How much?
3,000 is a lot.
3,000?
That's what you said, right? That's a lot.
That sounds like a lot.
Well, it's 3 days of training, basically, what they're going to charge. Minimum, how many days training are you going to
So
need?
1,500.
1,500, okay.
I think, what are we at in building? So $100,000 for the front desk for 2 employees, to me, is a lot of money.
It is.
So it's something that needs to be taken a look at. I'm comfortable at 40 or 45, but at 50,000 is a lot of money. While I understand Atlanta is fantastic, she's very talented, she's very smart, she gets a lot of compliments, 50,000 is and I would like to see her contract.
What's her job title?
If she's making $50,000, does she have a contract, David?
She's an employee.
Okay, but is there an employee contract? Like, is there a cap in her position? I mean, there are, This is-
Those things are in your possession for you to approve in September. So.
what, a contract for employee
all
agreement?
of the.
The HR stuff.
The HR stuff.
Yeah, we have the
So-
manual.
I mean,
Well, you're gonna have to decide what you wanna do, that you're gonna have to go.
It's
on
not my
the basis
decision.
that
I'm
if you
just- I'm
lower
bringing it up to the
45,
council
she's
because I
gonna
think it's a lot of
leave, so
money.
you're gonna have to
What
find
is
somebody else.
Elena's title and what is, I mean, I saw, you have their.
and now we see
job
Carlene here,
descriptions.
but she
I just
wasn't
need it
there
right
before.
now. I don't have.
Well, the issue is,
So-
I don't think,
Mr.
and the
Village?
reason is, you really, I don't think one person is sufficient to have in the front.
No, no one is, I mean, I'm not denying that. I'm just thinking $100,000 for two people up there, I think we need to think about that. Or maybe you have one at 45 and the other one, you know, I think Carlos Garcia should be paid a little more money, you know, I mean, there's an imbalance there. There's an imbalance there.
Well-
And
The only two things, for whatever it's worth, as I'm leaving, you want to make sure that you have staff there now and you have staff there coming in next year, because you're going to get tremendous amount of additional work. So you can't lower the salaries, lower the performance, and then end up having to seek support from CAP or somebody else. So what we were doing here was, in anticipation of September, was beginning to staff up and have all of these systems integrated so that they will be perfect to rock and roll when the time comes.
so my question is Elena making 49 right now?
49 too.
49.
Okay, so she's making it already, so she was just giving us up.
That's within
How long has she been making that?
4 weeks.
So I get, okay.
It was at 45 before.
Yeah.
She was given an increase?
Well, this is what happened. At CAP, she was being, her insurance was being paid in the totality. So when she started, we were paying for her insurance, but that of her family was not covered. So she came and said, you know, there's no way that I can stay, you know, and I have to pay, I'm the only one who can pay the insurance. So that's when I adjusted, rather than pay the insurance, I said, well.
What really happened is I was going through the payroll, and I caught that we were paying her family coverage. And my question was, why are we paying for family when we're not paying for family for anybody else?
Right.
And it's high. It's about $1,400 a month
Right.
that was being overpaid. So I guess what David did was compensate the revenue to offset the
The
additional
insurance.
health insurance costs is what happened.
So we were paying her insurance from the beginning?
Well, she only started in May, so it's not like it wasn't a long
right,
period.
right.
But, so for about 5, 6 payrolls, she was paid an additional $6,000, $7,000.
And that is, she's paying that back.
She's paying back the insurance?
Yeah.
She's paying back the insurance.
Well, she's paying back, but it sort of doesn't make any sense because we just gave her a $5,000 increase, right? So that's what she's,
Well, that's going forward, so.
The insurance is much more than the $5,000, $4,200 to be exact.
I mean, that's your call. If you feel it's too much and you want to change it, you can change it, but understand, the question you have to ask, if she leaves tomorrow because of that, can you find someone else qualified for the same dollar range? That's the question.
should I comment, Vice Mayor Nickerson?
Oh, I just wanted to say, really quickly, because the manager said that he was going to be leaving soon. For the Horace Mann thing, the last time I mentioned Horace Mann. For the Horace Mann thing, so the money that is needed for the school, for the open the school activities next week, because usually the way we do things is that an individual spends money and then we get the receipts but they need the money.
No, you don't have to do it. You can just make a straight contribution.
So I was just wanted to make sure, is it okay with the council? Is it okay with the council if I do a check request to the manager tomorrow and I do an email to both of them?
That should be fine.
Yeah, made directly to them.
Yes.
That's
Is
fine.
that okay? Instead of them.
That's what we've done in the past.
Honestly, I just wanted to.
Omar, can we get off public affairs now?
Open.
Yes. Okay, not a problem. Thank you.
Okay, code enforcement. So, again, this is not final. You've got time to think about it.
Okay.
So Carlene, just so that I understand, you're moving her salary to the building department. What has her role been?
She was my backup and the front desk building department.
No, her title was office manager.
But she wasn't, but David.
That's what was told.
David,
She was
she
office
wasn't really
manager.
operating as your assistant.
So,
She, there are 3 of us here, so whoever is on first base covers first base. So, we're not gonna get into a whole lot of discussion about exactly what her title is. We all have works to do, so,
Okay, but
There were times when
With
I
all
would
due,
visit the
with all due
member.
respect, it is important because we need to know what these individuals understand their role to be.
Well, and that's why you have, brand new job description that they will be able to adhere to. But their jobs is to do whatever needs to be done.
Well,
Sometimes we have to move tables and chairs, and that's what we do. So, but there are job descriptions that will guide that.
here's the question we need to ask. How many people do you need in the front? That's question number one. If the answer is 2, then the question is how much should I be paying them? Okay? That's the first question.
Right.
For me, I'll be honest, for not having the accounting background, she's done pretty good based on where she was. But I need someone with more depth that's going to put things, that they understand what they're posting and where it's going, and it's not done by rote where you're just putting in based on the way it was done before. There has to be more of an understanding. Because I need someone here that if you need special reports and I'm there, I can call up and say, hey, run this report, go to General Ledger, go here and run this report for me. I can't do that now.
So you can't do that with Carla.
No, she doesn't have the background.
And but is it a training issue? Can you train her?
She doesn't have the accounting background. She doesn't know how to post a payroll entry. She
Have you
doesn't understand
tried
what FICA
teaching
expense.
her?
No, I don't have the time. I don't have the time to start training someone on how they should know accounting.
Okay.
I just don't.
So you're telling us that you need someone with an accounting background.
I need someone that's got a bookkeeping accounting background that I can rely on, that I can
that makes
rely
sense.
on to help me out. Because you're always asking for things, right? And then the issue is when things are misposted, you get irritated because they're sitting in the wrong place, or why are they here, or why is this posted here?
So was Carlene doing payroll?
She's in payroll, FRS, and accounts payable. And also assisting on the cash receipts from the front desk.
So it sounds to me, if she's not capable of doing that, then
It's not capable, not capable is not the
not
right
trained.
word.
she's not trained.
She doesn't have the background to handle the depth of service that I would like to provide. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so we could do one or two things. We could either get her trained, or we change her job description completely and put her where her strengths are.
Which is what I think he just did by putting her to code, right?
Right, but you can't just
But
do
he's-
that
Yeah.
and then not.
needs
No,
help.
the reason I did it because a good portion of her time now is spent backing up Elena in the front doing the building stuff, the building and code.
Okay, so we really need to look at
David, what % of her time would you say she
the
spent in the
job
front?
descriptions
50?
and really,
Yeah, at least 40.
At least
it's
40.
important. People need to know what they're hired for and what they're
But you
doing.
still need help.
Sorry?
But what you're saying is you still need help.
And then train them accordingly.
Yeah, I need, I want to get someone that knows government accounting, that has the accounting background, that's worked with payroll, that I can push more of the work off on.
Well, you've been saying that all year, so that's fine. So we understand that. Now it's up to us to kind of like look at, because what other needs do we have? And I do think that an office manager of some sort.
Well, what I
So-
was thinking, the person I was slotting to help me in the back could also be an assistant to the manager
Right,
for
that-
his work.
yes.
It would be a split function, it wouldn't all be mine.
Not
Well,
administrative.
that was the whole
but-
intent of Carlene to begin with, is what I understood. That's why she was titled office manager and paid $41,000 a year, because she was coming in to assist the manager and you.
And then
But that didn't work out.
But,
So the-
and again, the other thing you got to bear in mind is that, as David said, as the commercial starts building
absolutely.
this coming year,
Right.
you're going to need more than one person in the front. So
We
you're
know that,
better
yeah.
off, if she's the right person and has the background for that, you're better to beef up now to be ready when it hits, rather than it hit and you don't have the
Well, I've
people
never
in
seen her
place.
resume, so I don't know what her background is. So I couldn't answer that. I don't know what her strength is. I've never seen her resume. So
David, do you
that's
have
something
those?
that's going to have to be the manager's decision, not mine. I mean, it's not really our call
Oh, so
anyway.
they're on her resume? Oh, okay. I didn't see that in there.
They should have been.
I
Elena first.
saw job descriptions, but I didn't see that.
And
I'll
Carla.
double check that
Okay.
in the, yeah.
Okay, so next line is code enforcement. That's what his salary is right now, is 35.
And is he full-time?
Yes.
That's really low. Is that what a code enforcement, I think we need to do an analysis of what other similar villages pay, just so that we understand and make sure that, that we're treating people fairly and that we're,
The range for
in
that's
line.
probably between 30 to 40.
Huh?
Yeah.
Probably between 30 to
It's
40.
more like 33, 34 to
Yeah.
to 42.
Depending on the size of the.
In
I mean-
Biscayne Park, is 38.
I know, I saw
starting
that.
salary.
I saw that.
Biscayne Park is 38. she
I
said,
mean,
so-
yeah, I mean, see, when I look at 50 and then I look at 35, there's like a discrepancy there, you know, I mean, there's.
Well, but you can't
I think
compare,
that-
you can't compare the two
No, you can't,
positions.
I understand that.
I mean,
but-
it's like saying you have a bookkeeper, you're paying $25 an hour versus a CPA, you're paying $125 an hour, so it's, I know you understand.
That's not really, I mean.
That's not a
Okay,
really
anyway, so,
Yeah.
again, this is all dialogue conversation, and it's something that we can.
Again, you got to decide what you want. If you say to me, Erwin, I prefer that salary be bumped up to 38, then we'll bump it to 38. That's the
Well, I
decision
think
that you have to
before
decide
we
on.
decide on anything.
But remember, for every dollar we increase, we're
Yeah.
taking a dollar out of our fund
Oh, I
balance.
understand.
No, of
Just-
I
course,
understand.
yeah.
I
Well, that's
understand
why I
that.
said we don't increase anything until we really have a
Get
comparison.
to the end, yeah.
You know.
So that'll be food for thought for second meeting?
We
ready to
have
move on?
dates, we have dates for the second meeting? I need that. Those are
We
very
should get, when we finish tonight, we should come up with a date for the second meeting.
important. Okay, perfect.
Denise, can you try to see if you can find out what Biscayne Park and, I guess Miami Shores, but they're bigger, they're much bigger.
No,
He's getting 38.
He's
Biscayne
getting
Park?
38?
Yeah, the code enforcement officer is getting 38.
And you
Okay.
know that because you did that recently? You did that search recently?
Beg your pardon?
You know that how?
A, I used to do the work there.
Uh-huh.
And two is David has an update because he just found, he knows what they're making right now.
Okay, so you got that information recently. So
That's
it's
how much
30.
Elizabeth makes.
Oh, because Elizabeth is over there.
Yeah,
Oh.
Panera, they used to be.
Is that what they paid before?
I don't think they had anybody before.
They didn't have anybody
For a
before?
while, that's why they came to recruit.
Well, they did, he left. Reggie was there before, he
But
was our
they-
code enforcement
But they
officer.
came to recruit.
All right, okay.
Okay. They might have hired her cheaper.
Anything else?
Huh? Yeah. For sure.
Public Works. The only line items there that I really wanted to talk about, number one is, what do we want to do with tree trimming? Do we want to increase it for next year, and if so, by how much?
I think we should.
Is there a way we could find a company that does the lawn maintenance and the tree trimming and have just one big contract?
No, the lawn maintenance is Neat Cuts and Wesley
know.
McNeil. That's who does the,
I know.
Right, there's a question if we can find
One
one
that does both.
company that does both.
I assume we could. I don't know what the saving would be. We'd have to see.
How long have they been cutting our trees and lawn?
Wesley, oh my God, years.
Yep.
So is it time that we send it out for an RFP?
Since I've been here, from the beginning.
Yeah, I would be inclined to potentially make that recommendation to the manager. They've been there for a long time, and it's always good. We do it with the auditing firm, we do it with Waste Management. We take a look, we put the bid out, and we take a look at who's out there, and I think it would definitely be a good.
I'm sure there's companies out there that do tree trimming as well as the swale and lawn maintenance also. So
Yeah,
you could
I mean,
take a look at that.
I think going out for bid is important for most contracts. You might just stick to the same one, but it keeps your eyes,
Well, we know what's out there and we know what, you know.
a couple of things that I see for Public Works is, I saw a couple. Number one, Tischler Bice should be under planning and zoning, not Public Works. Some
one?
impact analysis, that's a P and Z thing.
They will not be needed again.
Well, you know, I thought about that, David, but then I thought they're going to be coming in September 11th. And then after September 11th, we had the meeting with them. So when they come in September 11th to meet with the council, and if the council has a wish to do something, I mean, I want to, you know, like, I don't know, I think maybe,
Because what you may need is someone who does those kinds of development agreements, lawyers,
yeah.
not necessarily analysis. Because that's what Carson mentioned. At that point, you need someone who's going to be able to do the actual, you know.
Yeah, so I would say just leave them on until we meet with them. They are going to be here September 11th to meet with us. I think that's the next planning and zoning meeting. So I would just, you know,
How much do you want to put in there?
I don't know.
I'll move it to planning and zoning.
I don't think we have anything on there right now, right?
It's zero right now.
Right.
I mean, you know, we haven't spoken to them in so long. I mean, we just met with them. And although we get to the part of developer and agreement exaction is probably going to be more geared to an attorney, I get that, but I think we need to have a dialogue September 11th to have a better idea.
Well, you think you can call them earlier and have a dialogue with them
Yeah,
to get an
I'm
idea?
sure we can.
Might be- So we can put it into the budget?
If anything's, if any further service. Because it was my impression when they were contracted that the $20,000 encompassed all that. But because I think it's better that we confirm that. So yes,
Yeah,
well, I'll
you
email
can
them.
confirm it,
Okay,
then
we'll email them,
if we
not a
have to
problem.
adjust it, we'll
Not a
adjust it.
problem.
And I'll move it to planning and zoning
Yes.
if there's anything you want to add to that.
I do agree that tree treatment, it needs to be raised. Right now, it's at 20. I mean, we just planted 50 trees, and it's our responsibility as the village to maintain that. I've asked Robert if there's grants to maintain it while I'm pro-tree planting, but we have to think of the maintenance, and
Whatever
that's something
number
we're
you
not
put in
doing a
there,
great
it's not
job
going
on.
to be enough, so it's just a matter of how much you want to increase
I
it.
mean, we're really, I was just going through my notes and just when I was talking to residents through the campaign and just in general, this comes up all the time. And we really need to look at our canopies. I mean, they're really bad.
So we're at 20, how much you want to raise it?
And the other, but before I want to keep going, I had a couple questions. We received an email from residents that are interested in increasing our recycling pickups.
Yeah.
So we need to take a look
It's
at,
once a month now, right?
No, it's
Twice.
Twice a month.
Every 2 weeks.
Every other week.
So,
we have residents that have asked continuously, verbally and via email, so it might be something we want to take a look at, to offer that service to the residents.
so it's about $12,000 per cycle, basically, right?
So right now, it's
That would require
a contract.
Right.
Yeah, we require a bid.
and once you touch that contract, it's going to increase.
Yeah.
They're going to raise their rates probably.
Well,
Sure.
they're-
Well, I don't know about DeMaso raising their rates, right? World Recycle, but whoever, I mean, they're not really,
Well, right now it's done through the county, right?
well, no, it's with World Waste, Aline DeMaso.
The recycling?
Yeah, she was here at the last commission meeting, remember?
I thought it was the
Yeah.
county.
I'm going to leave it where it is right now.
Leave it where it is, it's just, it's something for the council to consider. The other question I had was repairs to the Village Hall, 30,000. I didn't know if that included the rewiring of the internet, that Ryan from IT
No.
Complete Care?
No, that wouldn't go there.
Okay, but so this is what, kitchen,
Kitchen updates.
I mean, the grass is dead outside, I mean, our right-of-way is terrible.
And I
Okay.
think, what's the quote you got on the kitchen, David, to redo the kitchen? About 15?
1,600.
How much?
15?
16.
1,600?
16,000, right, or 100?
No, 100, 1,600.
But
And then-
whatever else you want to do in here, you know, as far as the, one is for sure fix the AC,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
not working.
that's a major investment.
I mean, 30,000 is a big number.
Well, how much is the AC? An AC unit could be 10, 15,000 alone, or more.
I mean, definitely the outside, I mean, our right-of-ways, we could definitely do a little better with our right-of-ways, right? I mean, it's not, you know, where it needs to be, but I think that's where we have to take a look at our lawn maintenance, because they're the ones that are maintaining our
yeah.
right-of-ways.
And you probably want to do a painting in here to paint the place, because it looks like
I
it needs a
mean-
painting.
I think that's high, and we really have to think about where do we really want to go? Like, I mean,
And the other,
what's most important?
and the other question I had for Public Works is what happened to the intern? Councilperson Dre did all this work to get an intern, but I don't see a line item for an intern. I thought we were going to pay them like 25,000 or something.
I didn't know anything about an intern.
What do you mean?
We are,
It's from like $12 to $15 an hour.
Oh, something like that. So is that not happening anymore?
yes,
It is?
it is happening. We are working on, that's the other grant that Ruan is working on, matching grant to do exactly that, to get a intern or a public work person up to $20,000, so.
So we still need to put
this
a
is on
contractual
But
services
it's still a
line item.
matching grant, so we still have to allocate $20,000.
$20,000, right.
So this Public Works intern is going to make 40,000?
No, we can have 2 interns, we can have a full-time position, you know.
Well, if it's a full-time, is it 20 or is it 40 for the internship?
It needs to be really-
As far as the village is concerned, it should be $20,000 because the maximum that the grant allows it for $20,000.
Oh, so they're going to pay, it's a match for the other 20. So it's 40,000 total, but they're paying the Well-
So one person's going to make 40,000, or does the grant say that they give us 20 and we match 20 and one person makes 20 and the other one makes
In
20?
reality, David, I have to budget 40, because the expenditure is going to be 40,000 that we're paying 100% of.
Right.
Correct.
We're going to get half of it back in revenue on the
But what
other
we
side.
want to know is, does that have to be one person, or can it be two people?
It could be 6
I
people.
mean, yeah.
It could be as many people as you like. You could break it up into hourly wages.
Okay, so we need to put it, so we need to do a line item.
There has to be 40,000.
So is Robert working on this grant as we speak?
Yes.
Okay, so that needs to be a line item then,
Okay.
in Public Works, okay.
So then, on, what was it, Monday we're coming back to meet?
Yeah,
Oh, that's for the interim.
okay.
Yeah.
And you want to lower the village hall repairs down to another number? I'll put whatever you want. It's whatever you.
What I think, my recommendation would be, you've just been given a lot of numbers, put those numbers in, and when we meet again, then we're going to have to cut back.
Well, what you could help me with is give me a list of things you think that you want done to the village hall, and then we can estimate what those
Okay.
costs are going to be with it. Because I have no clue, what expenditures you want to take here.
Does anybody, just off the top of their head, know if Councilperson Dreyer was looking to get 2 interns? One, correct? So that'd be what the mayor said. One intern is going to be making $40,000.
No, but what David and Erwin was saying was, if we haven't said what we were going to pay the person, so if we got 40, we could split that up in between 2 people or 4 people.
You could
It's
have,
an internship.
yeah, you could have
so-
4 people. You could have 4 people at 10,000, or 2 people at 20,000.
No, I understand, but if council, so we're going to have to speak to Councilperson Dreyer, because then he might have to go get more interns if that's the case. He was just looking for one.
Look, we would first get the money. We will have to first get the.
And then find the intern.
And then, go through the process. And just to clarify, we went through the process. We started the process late. By the time that the process got, there were no takers. We had like 3 or 4 finalists. You all participated. We had an appointment, a time set for interviews. No one showed up. So
Okay.
that's what happened with that.
Any other?
But for the purposes of the budget, we need to add a line item.
I did, 40,000, contractual services.
Can you put in parentheses intern, because you know what's going to happen, we're going to forget, and just put in.
No, I'll put in the description that it'll be intern.
So back to the village hall. I really think that we need to lower that. And I know that this has been a sticking point this year. But when I look at it, I think tree trimming, for example, is a lot more important than, I mean, it's not falling apart. There are things that we can do that may not be as costly.
Yeah, but if you look at the other side, if you spent money to redo the kitchen and fix
can
the hall,
rent out the hall.
Well, no,
how much more
absolutely.
revenue hall rental could we generate, because now we have a nicer place? When you clean the canopies, you're not going to get
What I
revenue.
would like to see is how much hall rental did we not get this year?
How are you going to do that?
Well,
A
I don't know.
comparison.
I don't know who takes the inquiries. I like to see how much business has been turned away before I invest.
We're not going
Into
to, that's
something.
not going to be available.
We never turn business away. Well, we turn.
You mean people, what
Well, how much have
you're
we
really
lost?
saying is people that come here and look at the place, I'm not renting this, and walk away.
Right, but how much,
Well, we've only done year to date, we've only done 3,275.
I think it's about 5,000
He's
for the
projecting
year.
about 5,000, which I have to look at the years past
The year-
to compare what we've done in the years
right,
past.
but
which
before
have
you
definitely been
invest
higher.
in something, you have to really figure out, is there really potential? Or are we going to spend that money and then there's no business knocking on the door for us to rent the hall?
Well, first of all, the kitchen is only 1,600, so it's not a huge investment, right?
No,
But
I get that. And
here-
for me, the kitchen is more about our employees than anything, than about the hall being rented.
No, we were
So-
thinking of changing the kitchen so that you had a proper stove and other appliances in there, so that when you rent it, people can heat up the food and other things they have to do to serve, so it makes it more
Yeah,
rentable.
you can't really put a stove, you shouldn't have a hall with a stove in it, because they shouldn't be cooking here, because that's a different story, because that increases our insurance, and there's other things that we need to look at.
Right.
So in reality, we shouldn't be putting a stove. But, again, I'm not opposed to renovating, but what have we turned away?
No,
You know,
but what'll give you a better idea for what has to be done is to make a list that you know the things that have to be done. like the rewiring for the internet is one, right?
Okay, that, yes.
And those type of things. So make a list of all the things that you know have to be done.
Right.
We'll put a price tag on each one of them and then determine, see what the totals and say, do we want to spend this or not?
Right. So I'm all for IT. I'm all for going on the cloud. I'm all for anything that's going to make our administration have, ease of work better, work more productive. But in terms of renting this hall, I think that's an amenity that we have, not necessarily a moneymaker. So do we want to spend, is that where we want to focus this year, or do we want to focus on something that's really important to the residents, like the canopy?
I definitely want to add more money to tree trimming, so I'm okay knocking down the village.
So why don't I do this
Instead of
for now?
30,000, you
Why
make
don't
it
I
at
I'll
15.
Take the 30 down to 20 for now, and I'll raise the tree trimming from 20 to 30.
Okay.
So we're increasing the tree trimming by
10,000.
a third. Again, this is the first cut. I'm going to give you a revised one with all these changes in it, and we'll determine at that point if it's plus or minus. On the first, turn to your first page. On the very first page, at the bottom, you see where it says transfer in from fund balance? It's in the first column. It's 33,711 right now. So if you see that number negative, it means we're going to have a surplus at the end. If you see that negative grow more than 33, that's the amount of the loss that's going to have to come from fund balance. So when I'm finished, when you look at that one number, you're going to know what the impact of what we've talked about tonight has on those numbers. And if you turn to the last page, because I'm exhausted, I'm done. We can talk about it next time. It's a special revenue. And the only item I don't know is on that new grant, David, that we're going to get, the 4 point whatever million. Is that coming this year or next year?
It should be coming this year, but it's not gonna be $4.8 million all at once. So the allocations are according to what's happening. The first piece is for the sign, and then once the sign is done, then there comes construction.
So what we really need to do, and I think one of the things with the interim managers for you to go over is for the special revenue, stormwater, sanitation, all those projects, what are we planning to spend next year? And you're going to know how it's broken out, so we figured out what we have to budget for. The rest of it is just the CITT and the revenue sharing and the normal stuff that's in those budgets. You'll see in the Park Fund 1, the 20,000 transfers, because we got the grant money in last year. So I just show as a transfer in from the fund balance to cover the expense that we're going to spend next year. Have we all had enough for one night?
Did we select the time that we were going to meet again? Are we going
Yeah.
to do it after our meeting on the 21st?
Well, we don't want to make it too late, because the more time, when does the trim have to be advertised by?
15 days before the second budget, but 15 days before the second
And
budget.
the second budget is September 27th.
26.
So probably a week from this Monday is what date? That's the 28th?
No, the 21st.
Not next Monday, the Monday after.
Yeah,
28th.
So that would be the latest we'd want to do it.
So why can't we do it on the 21st, as we're already meeting anyway?
We could.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would
We're
be my
going to do
recommendation.
it next Monday?
If we're already meeting to discuss the manager, we're all going to be here. That could be our second meeting to go over this.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we do the budget first?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do 6 o'clock. I mean, we do 7 because that's when we do.
I can start as early as you want on Mondays.
6. So do we want to do the 21st at 6:30?
That works for me.
Okay.
So when is it? Monday?
Monday, the 21st at 6:30.
And if you give me, what day is today? Today is Monday.
6:30.
By Wednesday night,
Okay.
Thursday the latest, I'll have you all a revised copy with all the updates.
Just so we're clear, we're making that the first, the budget, that's it?
No,
You're
no,
not-
that
budget
is not the
workshop?
first budget
Second
hearing.
workshop.
A second workshop to
second
solidify this.
workshop,
The
okay.
first budget hearing is going to be when we meet at committees.
The committee meeting.
When we meet at committees. But we have
We're
to be
having a second
sure.
workshop,
But we
okay.
have to be sure that when we advertise it, it's a special council meeting. It cannot be an admin and finance committee meeting. It's got to be a first budget hearing.
No, I know.
So we're all here.
No,
Okay.
either way, it has to be done
because I have to turn all that to the state.
Okay, okay,
No, yeah, definitely.
okay.
That's what I'm asking, this is the second work.
Yeah.
Okay, at 6:30 and then at 7?
Hey, you got, you agreed to that date.
Mayor, can I just make one correction in reference to the cars and ask you a question also? The sales of the car is going to be a total of 7. So I'm estimating starting bid is $1,500, so it'll be $9,000. What? Times 6, because number 7 is a junk, so we're just going to have to end up, having
So repeat that again, we're selling how many cars? 7 cars, and on average, we get 1,000 or 1,500.
1,500, but it's actually 6 cars because number 7 is just a shell.
The shell, okay.
If you look at the budget, I think it was 10.5 that was budgeted.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
So it's about the right on there, okay.
Also, the water, I guess, trailer, we haven't used that in a while.
Does it work? Why don't we use it? The
Water tank, the water thing, it's on the
there's,
trailer.
it's right there, it's right back.
The water trailer, we haven't used that in a long time.
To water the trees. When was the last time we used it? Does it work? Can it work? As we've made a commitment to put all these trees in. Now, the 50 trees that were just planted, for 3 months, the company will come in and water. I saw them watering it today. And then we have a 1 year where they'll replace if it's a bad tree. But after 3 months, we are responsible for watering that. And if we have that tank, which says potable water on it, can it use, is it usable? Can Mr. Dino use? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I'm looking at them.
I don't know the answer to that.
All right, so maybe we can find out, please. Because we have it. It even has our seal in it, so it'd be, we are responsible for watering these trees.
We also have a beach cruiser that's been sitting there for a while. I want to know if, because, honestly, I don't
Where's the
think what we're
beach?
going to, it's a beach
Where's the beach?
cruiser.
It's a
I think
jet.
it's the green
I'm looking
one.
for the beach.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
the green one?
Yes.
No, it says a
Well,
red one.
No, it's the,
All-terrain
The one that you use, but it
The
doesn't
one I
work.
use?
No. No one has ever used that here.
no one's
It's
ever
like a
used
little
that.
tractor trailer. I mean, like a
they
little.
use it at the beach.
Oh,
Sell
yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Yeah, an ATV.
ATV.
Right. So I want to know if I can.
Does it work?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I'll find out if it works
Okay.
or not, to see if we can auction
Okay.
it out.
Sell that.
Okay.
Also, rental and lease, I guess is the GPS. I don't know if we just got one estimate. I know that per charter, we're supposed to get 2 quotes. Three quotes. So, I don't know, Mr.
The quote for what?
For the GPS,
To install in the new cars? Okay.
altogether. Okay.
I don't know how many, I don't know what.
Under contract.
Okay, I'll find that out. And it says here, vehicle lease, which car are we leasing?
By your house.
Okay,
The last estimate was made.
okay. That's also regarding the training. I am working with the fire department to see if we can go ahead and train all the officers to CPR, and I want to know if the council wants to also be involved.
Do you have a date on that?
No, I first wanted to bring it up to you first.
Absolutely.
I want to train.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And I want to also be able to offer it on the website to the
Absolutely, send it to me.
residents to see if they want to come. Obviously, they would be paying, the lowest I've been able to find is $30 a
That's
person.
very low, that's good.
Okay? So, and it's also going to be not only the CPR, but also the AED.
With the machine, the
Yes.
BLS, it's BLS, basic life support, yeah.
Can
Right.
you,
Okay.
before you confirm the date, let us know so that we can.
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to give everybody, because I also have to include the part-timers,
Yeah,
and I'll give them ample time to be able to
yeah.
work
So that we
around the
can
schedule.
schedule it and, yeah.
Right, so I'm positive, it's probably going to be three dates that you
Okay.
guys can pick from.
Perfect.
Okay? And that's
So you're going to get the 3 quotes for the GPS for the 5 cars?
yes.
Okay.
I'm going to get that. And also, Erwin, one last thing, the K-9 line item. Because when people start, bringing in money,
Sorry.
I want to know where to put it at.
Shoot me an email, what you want for that, and I'll just put it in the list.
How much year-to-date have you raised, or have they given you?
Well, for the vet bill, actually the pediatric doctor here, she has donated a little over $2,000, but she's paid the actual vet for that.
Oh, okay.
And we have a resident that gave it $600 check, but
Oh.
since I haven't gone out to get more because I didn't know how they were going to put in the
How
line
to be
item.
recognized in the budget.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
Put that line, you send it to me.
okay, okay, perfect.
You all have my email address, external one? Okay.
The Comcast?
Oh,
Yeah,
external?
Comcast one?
I don't think I do.
It's my name at Comcast.net.
Okay.
Just send it, any changes that you want to put in, or any recommendations, and I'll footnote when you make them, who asked for it on that line item, so when we discuss it, we'll know whose line item.
Okay,
Okay,
Harold, I already know yours.
okay.
all right.
Okay.
Any other questions for Erwin? All right, good job, guys. At this time, where am I at? Anybody in the audience for good and welfare?
Hey everybody, Adam Old, 140 Northeast 86th Street. The only thing that I really suggest that I didn't see in here, and maybe I'm just misreading something, is that you guys are going to be going into a big negotiation with Iris Iscaria and a large company that pays their lawyers a lot of money. I really think you really, really, really should get outside counsel to help you.
With
Yeah,
regards to-
that line item is, I'll tell you where it is right now. It's probably not enough money, but that line item,
There's like 2,500 or 25,000 for other legal.
yeah, that's all. Hold on, where am I at?
I think, I don't know if, I think you should
And-
consider whether that's sufficient.
No, it's professional fees, legal, it's set for 32 next year. We can consider going higher,
Oh, correct,
because I understand.
projected for 32.
Professional legal retainer, 18,000, that's Attorney Geller, but
Is
we
that-
have it at 32,000.
Okay, is the 32,000 is for this over yonder?
I mean, unless there's a lawsuit that comes up that we're going to have to deal with, then that's legal is considered anything outsourced or Joe Geller, somebody in his firm, but that's what the 32 is for.
I would highly recommend that you
Outside counsel.
get outside counsel. Joe Geller's been sleeping on the dais. It's not inspiring confidence. Also, maybe review him.
His reviews were done, they were not done the same time the managers were because he wasn't present. When we meet
Understood.
again, his review as well as the clerk's will be done.
Thanks.
You got it.
Thank you.
Anybody else in good and welfare would like to come up and say anything?
I just want to thank Councilperson Mathis for helping me out doing the
Oh, the-
Sunday.
the
audit.
property audit. And we're still
Thank you,
continuing
Councilperson
next
Mathis.
Sunday.
Next Sunday at 10.
Thank you,
Yes, okay.
Mathis.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Anybody else in good and welfare?
I just want to let everybody know that Elizabeth Pinero's husband passed away yesterday, and
I heard, I saw.
I think we should do something.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Oh, that's horrible.
Okay.
So, for the record, you want me to send something, right?
yes.
Okay,
Okay.
no worries.
Anybody else in good and welfare? All right, thank you. Hearing none, do I have a motion for adjourn?
Motion.
Motion's been made by
Second.
Councilperson Roman, it's been seconded by Councilperson Mathis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nay? The budget workshop has ended at 10:54 on Monday, August 14th.